What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories.
3FC, Chapter 51, Alliance of Beasts and Aunts. Advertisement. The White Lion Admiral seems to be much stronger than last time. When I went down, I saw that Kaido's mace had been shattered. It is said that it was smashed into pieces by the White Lion Admiral's Conqueror's Haki. NS. Magellan's tone said that he was a little trembling. Kaido's weapon is not simple. This. Kizaru froze there with his mouth open. Garp, Aokiji, and Akainu all have solemn expressions, a little unbelievable. The others Rear Admiral and Vice Admiral were even more shocked. Listening to Magellan, the White Lion Admiral can really kill Kaido, one of the four emperors. There are people who can kill Kaido, known as the strongest creature in the sea, land and air, and they still use Conqueror's Haki. Sengoku gritted his teeth tightly, and finally sighed deeply. It's a pity for such an unimaginable talent, otherwise it would definitely be a great power against Whitebeard. It's a pity that celestial dragons. The fighting power of the four emperors is absolutely extraordinary, that is Kun's four emperors on the sea, each of them is absolutely powerful, as can be seen from the fact that Marine cannot reach into the New World and completely wipe them out. It can be seen that even Akainu and other Admiral cannot defeat them with Logia's power. And the White Lion can defeat Kaido and even kill Kaido with Conqueror's Haki alone. From this point of view, it is not an exaggeration to have the strength that Whitebeard can contend with. It was the light of wisdom flashing in Ms. He's eyes. Will such a talented White Lion Xia Xing have already attracted the attention of five elders? After Magellan reported what happened to Impel Down, he hung up the phone. This meeting continued after everyone reacted. Until the next day, there were still 2 days before the top war. In the waters of all nations in New World, a fleet of pirates sailed in. A group of the Charlotte family stood on Cake Island, with Tokikake standing on the harbor as the leader. This fleet is exactly the Beast's pirates who have already greeted in advance and come to meet with Big Mom. Led by the three plagues, leading the 6 volleys, the army of beasts and a large group of people landed on the Cake Island. Advertisement. The BIGMOM pirates, Tokikake and others, and Beast's pirates who did not underestimate Kaido at all, looked at the three plagues, Jack, and Quinn, their eyes lightly squinted. Mom is waiting for you in the castle. Tokikake led the three plagues and volley 6 into the castle of BIGMOM, and the rest were left outside. Until after entering, Jin, Quinn, Jack and others finally rushed all the way to see Charlotte Linlin. A fat figure, a jeweled dress on a dress, a scary woman eating sweets. BIGMOM, we have already contacted beforehand, and we have already arrived. Master Kaido once mentioned that you have friendship, I think it won't be embarrassing. There was still a fierce flame behind the tall Jin, and he took a step forward to give a salute to Charlotte Linlin. After all, BIGMOM is not only a pirate, but also the queen of this kingdom. Toothless pterosaur form, Jin, I am very optimistic about you, why don't you join my kingdom? Charlotte Linlin looked at Jin with interest in her eyes. To build a country where thousands of races coexist peacefully, there is now a shortage of several almost extinct races, one of which is Jin. Jin was also very speechless. He didn't know that Big Mom would be looking at him beforehand, but who was Jin? Sorry, Queen of BIGMOM, as a Beast's pirates, I refuse. Jin directly refused BIGMOM's invitation. Although he wanted to seek BIGMOM's help now, he would not betray himself directly. That's a shame. Charlotte Linlin chuckled. She couldn't tell from her tone that she had given up, but she didn't mention it anymore. I am really familiar with your boss. Kaido's Azure Dragon fruit is still given by me, don't you know, but I haven't seen him in more than 10 years. Are you sure I will help? Charlotte Linlin looked at Jin with a playful look. And Quinn and Jack suffer from the flying 6 cells, both of them look unexpected, so she actually gave the abilities of Lord Kaido. Even Tokikake and others were surprised, Kaido still has such friendship with Mom. What conditions do you open first? And Charlotte Linlin's words made Jin's heart tremble. Advertisement. Of course I don't want you to come to the world in exchange. What I want is your willingness. Of course, my condition is another person, Guy. Charlotte Linlin didn't sell anything at this time, and set the conditions straightforwardly. That lunatic scientist, Guy. Jack was taken aback for a moment, and the brash man couldn't think of what BIGMOM wanted Guy to do without Big Brother Jin. Quinn narrowed his eyes. Of course there is no problem with Guy, and he won't refuse us in Doflamingo. Jin said confidently that, except for Jack, who was a naive person, the three plagues had never looked up to the opportunistic Doflamingo. He didn't dare to refuse us and raised Darasaros to the ground. When Quinn heard it was just Guy's, he immediately agreed. Charlotte Linlin laughed and nodded. The reason why Guy Saw is changed as a condition is because I know that Guy Saw has studied a giant drug that makes Charlotte Linlin very interested. As a condition, I just took the opportunity to impel down to save people. When Whitebeard and Marine fight, all of Marine's high-end combat power will be restrained. That's the best time for us to attack Impel Down. Quinn narrowed his eyes and said confidently. With the support of the BIGMOM pirates, there is no Impel Down with Admiral and those Vice Admirals' defenses, and there is only one Magellan, it is not too easy. Rescue Kaido, you guys come here, that's it. Charlotte Linlin ate sweets and didn't care about going to attack Impel Down. After all, the Impel Down defensive power at that time is nothing for the 2 4 Emperor's pirate groups. With the mad scientist guy saw as a condition of support, Jin and Quinn, Jack and Charlotte Linlin discussed the plan. Katakuri is more cautious. After all, it is a hell known as a copper wall and iron wall, and there are very few people who have escaped. In order to be foolproof, I think I will check it out first. Asterisk. Chapter 52. And shocked, Kaido was almost killed. Advertisement. Katakuri's cautious approach was naturally approved by Charlotte Linlin. Jin, Quinn and others also nodded, indicating that it is good to be safe. So Katakuri walked out of the castle and went to contact the intelligence network. Among the four emperors, BIGMOM's intelligence network can be said to be the most intelligent and huge. In the three plagues, the Flying Six Powers naturally stayed with Charlotte Linlin and the Ministers of Nations. Charlotte Linlin's attitude didn't show any abnormality, but Jin and Quinn felt jealous. Throughout the whole process, BIGMOM was so easy to speak, and did not even have any hostility towards them. Both the proposed conditions and the negotiated plan went smoothly. At this time, Katakuri also walked back again, frowning. Unexpectedly, this kind of thing happened again in just one day. Admiral White Lion didn't listen to Celestial Dragon's orders and also hit Celestial Dragons. Regarding the expression of Katakuri, Jin, Quinn and others all felt a sudden change in their hearts. Could there be any changes? I'm afraid it's not that simple to rescue Kaido from Impel Down this time. Katakuri's expression looked a little solemn, and as soon as he came in, he said to the three plagues and others. Katakuri, has something happened? Charlotte Linlin glanced over and asked. Others are also very curious, Jin and Quinn, Jack and others are even more anxious. This Katakuri is too boring. The fourth Admiral White Lion attacked Celestial Dragons, and the world government was furious. Considering the very wartime environment now, the White Lion was demoted to Impel Down Guard. Katakuri looked at BIGMOM respectfully and said solemnly. Admiral hit Celestial Dragons. Dafu, Perispero and others were all surprised. Advertisement. Impel Down is now guarded by the White Lion. Unlike the concerns of the Charlotte family, everyone at Beast's Pirates can't help but be surprised. But for Charlotte Linlin, Jin, Quinn, Fei Lubao and others, it was just an accident. Only Jack the Dro's eyes trembled. Recalling the last time I met the White Lion Xia Xing. With more Admiral, it's a bit tricky, but just one Admiral, and it's not a problem under your three plagues. Charlotte Linlin looked calm and said lightly. If there is one more Admiral, it will be enough for you to fight the three plagues. Jin's eyes also changed when he heard these words. Charlotte Linlin's meaning is very simple. If there is more Admiral, then you should go up and stand up first. No wonder this BIGMOM promised to be so refreshing. It turned out to be the idea of fishing and not wanting to do much. However, it was just a White Lion. The three disasters, Quinn, Jack and others have all discussed in private, and they all think that although the White Lion Xia Xing is powerful, Conqueror's Haki is not unmatched. Even if it was able to suppress the trauma of Kaido-sama, it was only possible after Garp, Sengoku, and the three Admiral teamed up to contain Kaido's physical strength. Obviously, BIGMOM is also holding this idea, and his face doesn't care about the White Lion and Admiral. Even the expressions of Fei Lubao and others were only a little surprised, and didn't care about the news. It's just one more Admiral. Of course the three of us can deal with the White Lions. Quinn was about to speak, but Katakuri shook his head at this moment. Mom, I'm afraid this matter is not that simple, the intelligence is more than that. Katakuri glanced at Quinn, then turned to BIGMOM and said. The White Lion didn't hurt Kaido because of Sengoku. Garp and others were able to hurt Kaido. According to the latest news, Kaido's body recovered very quickly and caused a raid in the Great Undersea Prison. In the end, it was suppressed by the White Lion alone. The serious tone made the three plagues, Fei Lubao and the others stunned. Master Kaido recovered and made an Impel Down. In this way, they could rush out of Impel Down without going to the rescue, but Admiral White Lion alone suppressed Master Kaido. Impossible, how could Kaido-sama who recovered? Jin, Quinn, Jack and others are very clear about how invincible horror Kaido-sama is. Advertisement. This news is absolutely reliable, and now your Kaido adults are not optimistic, and even almost beaten to death by the White Lion Xia Xing. The language is amazing. Even BIGMOM stopped eating and drinking with his hands, and looked at Katakuri with solemn eyes. Quinn, Jack, Jin, Fei Lubao and others changed their expressions, and their eyes looked unbelievable. Katakuri, this is no joke. Jack's tone became less friendly in an instant. This guy actually said that Lord Kaido was almost killed by that young White Lion. For those of Beast's Pirates who don't believe it, Katakuri looks indifferent, but looks at Big Mom instead. Mom, you know our intelligence network very well, absolutely correct. Katakuri solemnly said, regardless of whether or not to go to Mom, this condition is not enough for the BIGMOM pirates. Can actually kill Kaido. BIGMOM naturally knew the authenticity of its own intelligence network, and finally couldn't help standing up in shock. Kaido is even more old-fashioned. When on the Rocks ship, Big Mom and Kaido were even sisters and brothers. What a terrifying talent this younger brother Kaido has, plus the fish fruits from the blue dragon form, his body can be said to be terrifying to the limit. Even his natural strong defense is completely incomparable to some extent. The three plagues and others were even more shocked by BIGMOM's abrupt rise, and then looked at BIGMOM's expression and couldn't help but understand. I'm afraid these are all true. That Admiral White Lion is really capable of killing Lord Kaido. Shocking, how incredible. The strongest creatures by sea, land and air. This change has taken place, and Katakuri means that even if the BIGMOM pirates is taking action, a guy is not enough. You have all heard that the White Lions are not so easy to deal with. Attacking Impel Down is not that simple. If a guy is not enough, I will increase the price. Charlotte Linlin didn't look good at the beginning at this time, and began to show the four emperors aura that he should have. Asterisk. Chapter 53. Akainu. How strong is the White Lion? Advertisement. At this time, both sides were wary of both sides after being shocked. The three disasters and others understand that at this time, when such a situation occurs, BIGMOM may have the lion open his mouth. And Katakuri and others also have a deeper heart to guard against the three plagues. They didn't even know this information. What does a Marine Admiral who can beat Kaido one-on-one represent? Powerful, unparalleled powerful, this White Lion is definitely an unimaginable monster. Even BIGMOM didn't dare to take the slightest care, and now there is no absolute certainty to deal with the White Lion. The threat level has now exceeded that of Akainu and others. But if you delay saving people, there is no problem. It's just that Guy's throwing of this bargaining chip is not enough. BIGMOM also made no secret of raising the price. In addition to Guy, you need to add a few more sites and resources. The risk of this trip has increased. Jin, the conditions need to be increased, otherwise I would rather not go to this muddy water. BIGMOM's eyes gleamed, and just now he even wanted to propose that Jin, the only racial legacy, join the nations. Relatively speaking, the resources of Wanokuni Seastone and those sites in Kaido's hands are more attractive at this time. Jin and Quinn, Jack, Fei Lubao and others all lowered their faces and frowned. If you want sites and resources, this BIGMOM really has a good abacus. They also know that with the pervert of the White Lion Xia Xing, the danger is greatly increased, and the Magellan of Impel Down is not easy to provoke, plus the natural advantage of Impel Down defense, I am afraid that it really needs to pay a great price. After thinking for a long time, BIGMOM, Katakuri and others did not speak, and gave enough time for the three plagues and others to consider. As long as Kaido-sama can be rescued, these are not problems. Jin, Quinn and Jack exchanged glances, and even though they were entangled, they nodded slightly and agreed. As long as Governor Kaido comes out above the sea, these will come back. Advertisement. If you are stuck in Impel Down, even Beast's pirates will soon fall apart. But there is a small additional requirement, which can be regarded as an agreement. In the action 2 days later, both parties must use their full combat power to ensure that there is no accident to rescue Lord Kaido. Quinn also took a step forward at this time and said to Big Mom. This is natural, so, it's so agreed. It was just this request. BIGMOM smiled, nodded and agreed. At this time, Jin and Quinn, Jack brought Fei Lubao and the others and said that the agreement was completed, and then they would leave first. And just after the people of Beast's pirates left, Katakuri, Cracker and other 3 general stars, as well as various ministers all looked different. Mom, let's just destroy them right here. Dafu had a ruthless look in his eyes, and he killed the Beast's pirates guy here, then everything would fall into the hands of the nations, wouldn't it be better? Idiot. Katakuri heard Daifuku's suggestion, and said it indifferently. BIGMOM even sat down, showing a terrifying smile. It's nothing if Beast's pirates is completely wiped out here, except for Katakuri and others, who of you can stop Kaido's anger? Do you think this Impel Down can really shut down Kaido completely? Whenever the opportunity comes out, what do you think the strongest creature will do to us with the 4 emperors Kaido alone? BIGMOM opened his eyes wide, and said, hating iron but not steel. I am not afraid of Kaido, but if Kaido just blindly slaughters the rest of the world, I can't do anything with him. This is one of the reasons why BIGMOM did not choose to do Beast's pirates. Dafu, Perispero and others naturally understood, with a look of ashamed, a little lack of greed. The meeting between Beast's pirates and BIGMOM ended after the agreement was reached, and they prepared for each. 1 day passed. Advertisement. A warship drove slowly into Impel Down, and Akainu Sakazuki, wearing a red shirt and a flower on his chest, walked off the warship. Tomorrow is the public execution and the time for a decisive battle with the Whitebeard pirates. The whole world knows that Whitebeard will not abandon the crew on his ship and will definitely come. Just in case, Sakazuki personally came to Impel Down to escort Firefist Ace to naval headquarters. With Admiral's arrival, Magellan appeared on the ground floor again, enduring diarrhea, insisting on taking Akainu to the 6th floor. At this time, Xia Xing was excitedly playing the single-player games in the game console in his own residence. Akainu Sakazuki walked down with Magellan all the way, his expression was extremely serious, and he heard the criminals appear even more fierce. In terms of his absolute justice, these evil guys should have been executed long ago. Until reaching the 6th floor, many prisoners stared at Akainu with unfriendly eyes. And Sakazuki did not rush to take Ace out, but went straight to Kaido's cell door. As the lava flames on his body rose and lit up the cell in front, Sakazuki also saw Kaido clearly inside. With just one glance, Sakazuki's eyes shrank sharply. The ground is all red after blood has clotted, and Kaido in the middle seems to be gasping for breath. This is how much blood has been shed. Looking up and down the whole body, at least those exposed to the field of vision had huge scars above 6 paths, bloody and deep into the bones. But it can also be seen that although the recovery is very difficult, Kaido's body injury is slowly recovering. What powerful moves did the White Lion use at the time to cut Kaido into what it is now? Single quote. Sakazuki was shocked when he saw Kaido's misfortune, but at the same time changed his mind about Xia Xing. Marshal Sengoku's vision was indeed unusual, and Admiral, who was promoted against all opinions, did not disappoint him. At the same time, the fierceness in dealing with the pirates also made Sakazuki feel that the White Lion is indeed a good guy. Just being lazy and celestial dragons didn't handle this well enough that they were arranged to be guarded here. Kaido opened his eyes as soon as he saw the fire light up, staring at Sakazuki firmly. After executing this fire fist ace, you will be the next one, 4 emperors. Kaido. Asterisk. Chapter 54. Open on top, invasion Impel Down. Advertisement. Akainu's eyes seemed to be looking at a dead person, and he said something mocking. It is not easy to escape here, not to mention the White Lion Xia Xing that slacker is still suffering on it. Kaido definitely can't escape, waiting for the execution of the fire fist ace. The next one is the public execution of Kaido. Execution. When I go out, Marine will pay a tragic price, and the White Lion will also pay a tragic price. Kaido stared at Sakazuki with an unusually cold face, and said in an extremely calm tone. He has hated the White Lion and Marine. Just how you look now, still talking here. You can resist Conqueror's Haki of the White Lion first. Akainu also sneered with disdain, his eyes full of ridicule and disdain. Still thinking of going out, thinking of revenge. When Laozi recovers, the first one will kill you. Akainu, if you kill you, the next one will be a White Lion. Kaido immediately became furious when he heard the words, and his body on the ground trembled, causing the wounds on his chest to collapse again, and his whole body was extremely hideous. Akainu Sakazuki couldn't help laughing arrogantly. The 4 emperors Kaido is also such a day of powerless lying on the ground, it is really a wonderful picture. Sakazuki, you don't have to be so arrogant, you are not qualified to be arrogant here without this strength, and even if you are not the opponent of the White Lion, Logia's ability is even more vulnerable under his Conqueror's Haki. At this time, the bullet on the side couldn't stand Akainu's arrogance, and uttered a gloomy attack. It is true, Kaido, you will not be the opponent of the White Lions, his Conqueror's Haki has completely surpassed the top level, this level is completely comparable to the Overlord Rocks of the Year, Kaido is not wronged. Quote. Not far from Kaido, the voice of the lonely red letterfield came out. The meaning is very clear, it was not you who played it, so don't be arrogant here, the White Lion Xia Xing is his own strength. With that said, Akainu's face became completely gloomy and dark. It's like saying that his son is a fake tiger, which makes Akainu very upset. The White Lion Admiral is really strong. A Conqueror's Haki knocked down all 6 floors of us. I'm afraid this is the so-called strongest Conqueror's Haki in contemporary times. No one is more powerful than someone's Logia. The surrounding prisoners, such as the evil king, Shiryu of the Rain, and the big wine barrel also spoke one after another. Advertisement. Akainu Admiral, it's important to escort fire fist ace first. Magellan saw that the situation was not right. For fear that something might happen, he quickly opened the cell door to take Ace out, and reminded Akainu, whose body temperature and flame were getting stronger and stronger. Akainu was trying to teach Bullet and others a lesson. At this time, Magellan's reminder stopped the impulse in his heart. It's just the cynicism of these criminals. I really have to admit that the White Lion boy is really better than him. He can't hurt Kaido like this. You will all face being destroyed by justice. Looking at the prisoners on the 6th floor coldly, Sakazuki snorted, and Sakazuki turned around. Bringing Fire Fist Ace with handcuffs and ankle chains, he left the 6th floor and went back to Marineford. Akainu, who was on the mission, came and left and didn't meet Xia Xing again, leaving hurriedly. And time passed quickly. One day passed quickly, and the whole world was peaceful on this day. Everyone is paying attention to the arrival of this day. Whitebeard Twist Gate, the man known as the strongest in the world, possesses the power to destroy the world. This is what Marine is about to start a full-scale war with today. No one knows who will lose and who will win this battle. Under the power of Whitebeard's Twisting Gate, what will happen to the world? At Marineford, the live broadcast of the public execution is now open. In the uproar of the world, he also became nervous. At the Marineford site, Marine's formation has also been completely completed, and we are waiting to pay attention to all the movements on the sea. My goodness, what kind of layout Marine is this? On the big screen of Sabayati Archipelago, everyone was shocked watching the live broadcast. Marine hundreds of thousands of elites from all over the world are distributed on the square. Fire and air guns and so on are countless. 16 Vice Admiral of Naval Headquarters. Advertisement. Ms. Crane, the hero Garp. Flying Squirrels, Ghost Spiders, Stallo Berry, Huo Shaoshan, Doberman, Dalmatian, Bastio, and Gumir are all listed. Then came Marine Vice Admiral with Giants. On the front wall of the harbor, there are people who feel chills. 7 Warlords of the Sea. Hawkeye Mahawk, Pirate Empress Boa Hancock, Heavenly Yaksha Doflamingo, Storm Coon Bear, Gecko Moria, and below, there is a tall man with gold jewelry, Disolo from Golden Casino. A tall execution platform has also been erected in front of the fortress, and 3 seats are placed there below. Admiral Aokiji, Akainu, and Kizaru are walking up and sitting down. The whole Marineford also cheered because of Admiral's arrival. This is Marine's strongest lineup since the Great Pirate era. With the 2 Marine execution officers escorting Firefist Ace on stage, the audience fell silent again, and even the live broadcast was silent. The situation today was all caused by the arrest of this man, the captain of the 2nd Division of the Whitebeard Pirates. And shortly after Ace went up, Marshal Sengoku also boarded the execution stage, and brought a phone bug to the world, and began to announce the true identity of the Fist of Fire, Boscape D. Ace. One Piece, the blood of Gall D. Roger. This news also caused great shock to the world. Originally, this was a person who shouldn't exist in the world. Garp also had a dark face, lowering his head to hide the sadness and helplessness in his heart. And just after Marshal Sengoku announced the identity of Ace around the world and the significance of public execution here, he began to quietly wait for the arrival of the Whitebeard Pirates. At this time, Xia Xing was also using a video phone worm to receive the live broadcast of this war on top. The Whitebeard Pirates are coming. Xia Xing, who lay and watched leisurely, recalled the original trajectory of this world. At this time, the Whitebeard pirate group was about to appear. Sure enough, at the scene, as the marine soldiers on the sidelines passed the Whitebeard pirate group's 43 pirate regiments, a large fleet of 43 pirate regiments appeared and approached. On the surface of the inner bay, Whitebeard's coated mobile and 3 lieutenants also jumped out of the sea. But at this moment, when everyone was attracted, 2 groups of people were quietly approaching the underwater prison, Impel Down. Asterisk. Chapter 55. Blackbeard joins the invasion. Impel Down. Automatic subscription required. Advertisement. On the mobile, the 16th Division captains appeared, making the faces of many Marines extremely solemn. Phoenix Marco, Diamond Joe's, Foil Vista, Bramonk. Subsequently, the sound of step-by-step footsteps sounded in the hearts of everyone. Whitebeard Edward, the strongest man in the world, with a huge stature, wearing a coat and a black scarf, twisted and took his own supreme sharp knife, Kong Yunchi, and boarded the deck. Not anger and prestige, it makes people feel the powerful breath of room breathing. Sengoku, I haven't seen each other in decades, is my dear son okay? Gum la la la. The appearance of Whitebeard Twist Gate made Garp, Sengoku, San Admiral and others look very dignified. It can be said that everything today is prepared for this man. Twist Gate. Marshal Sengoku gritted his 620 inches teeth with a cautious expression on his face. With the power to destroy the world, Whitebeard, shock fruit ability. The same is true for Garp, even speaking to many Marines. In this battle, no matter how strong you look here, you can't take the slightest care. Ace, wait a moment. Whitebeard let go of the cloud cut, folded his arms in front of his chest, and started to activate shock fruit's ability to cause a big tsunami to give Marine a blow. At this time, feeling the terrifying aura of Whitebeard, Doflamingo, who was measuring the combat power of the two sides, discovered that on Shichibukai's side, the laughing Blackbeard Teach never appeared. What the hell is this guy doing? With his sixth sense, Doflamingo feels that Blackbeard is not easy. This will not appear here. I am afraid something is being prepared. And Blackbeard Teach was getting a warship at this time, carrying Poison Q, Badgers, Van Oka and others secretly following the ocean current into the vicinity of Impel Down. Captain, are you really going to Impel Down? There is the White Lion Admiral guarding the current Impel Down. Poison Q is still being posted. The scene of being suppressed by Xia Xing Conqueror's Haki is still vivid, and it is still in my heart. That White Lion, Admiral, can't even carry the 4 Emperors Kaido now. Even Badgers, the fearless fighting champion, shivered a little. Advertisement. The current White Lion Admiral is not just when he became Admiral and was questioned by the world. He has proven himself with his strength. Moreover, Conqueror's Haki's straightforward, spiritual oppressive deterrent power is not so easy to wield. Of course I know the horror of the White Lion, but at Marineford, I have to be targeted by Daddy Whitebeard and Marco. Blackbeard Teach actually trembled in his heart, but his plan for so many years, and so much effort, even betrayed the old Whitebeard. How could it be so easy to give up now? Not even the White Lion guards the gate. At this moment, Van Oka suddenly raised his head, his eyes changed slightly to look into the sky. Captain, there are people in the sky. Blackbeard Teach and others were also taken aback, and quickly looked up. This is the toothless pterosaur. One of the 3 plagues, the fire disaster, king. Devil Sheriff Lafayette was shocked and called out the big sign of Beast's Pirates and appeared here. Could it be that he was here to rob prison? Van Oka and others looked solemnly at the flames of embers on their heads in the sky. But Blackbeard's eyes lit up. Just now I was a little worried about how to deal with the White Lion. Enter Impel Down, now there is a way. Jin naturally found Blackbeard Teach and others below, and his eyes fell directly. Shichibukai, Blackbeard Teach at this time, you should be in Marineford. Jin fell on the boat and turned into a human form, and he looked at Blackbeard Teach unexpectedly. Inflammation, King, are you here to save Kaido? Blackbeard Teach chuckled. The 3 plagues appeared here, indicating that Beast's Pirates should also be here, and it is not far away. This is really God help me. It seems that your purpose is not pure, Blackbeard Teach. Seeing Blackbeard Teach's a little excited eyes and an excited face, Jin could tell at a glance that this guy might have another purpose in Impel Down. You go in to save people, and I will also go in and make a big fuss. Hey, the fire, do you want to cooperate? Get what you need. Blackbeard Teach knew that time was pressing, so he directly proposed to Jin to join forces. Who knows what the battle there will be like? Advertisement. The waves are already surging even here, and huge tsunamis have been sent to Marineford in the other 2 directions. I'm afraid there will be changes after a long time. You are afraid of that Admiral White Lion, Blackbeard. Jin chuckled lightly, looking a little more stable than Blackbeard Teach's impatient. This Blackbeard teach obviously wants to borrow the power of their beasts pirates. Could it be that you are not afraid of the White Lion? Blackbeard teach let out a gloomy laugh, and said without showing any weakness. Everyone is half a caddy, and the strength of the White Lions is clear. We are afraid, let alone I think beasts pirates is not afraid of the same. Even Kaido has been beaten into what it is. Jin laughed, then put away his laughter, tilted his head and stared straight at Blackbeard teach. The flame behind it was burning, like a real pterosaur staring at its prey. And Blackbeard teach smiled even more, and his momentum was rising. Since everyone's purpose is the same, it's easier to handle. It just so happens that Big Mom and our beasts pirates are also trying to enter Impel Down. Now that you, who have the identity of Shichibukai, cover up and sneak in, it would be even more perfect. You use your identity to cover up, but I am a little bit crowded, and there is also a Big Mo 0.0M pirate group here. Suddenly, Jin smiled again, agreed to cooperate, and said to Blackbeard teach. No matter how you look at this kind of cooperation, there is no reason to refuse. And Blackbeard teach also knew that Jin would agree, each taking what he needed, and being able to solve the problems they had sneaked into. The fool didn't agree. And what excites Blackbeard most is that Bigmom, one of the 4 emperors, also joined in. I really don't know how the 3 plagues convinced this Bigmom. But with these combat powers, entering Impel Down must be no problem, right? It can even be head-on with Magellan and others of Impel Down. So at the same time, your own plan can also be implemented perfectly with the help of Bigmom and Beasts Pirates. Chapter 56. The 3 parties gather together and deal with the White Lion first. Advertisement. Blackbeard teach and Yanbanjan hit it off immediately and made a cooperation agreement. Then let Bigmom and Jack come over. Standing on the deck, Yan took out a phone bug and called out and explained the cooperation with Blackbeard teach. Blackbeard teach, it's really interesting. Jin, you take out the mirror that you gave to you, and we pass through the world in the mirror. After the phone worm explained the matter, the voice of Bigmom came. At the same time, everyone in the Bigmom pirates and beasts pirates who knew the situation showed unexpected expressions. When King was exploring the road, he reached a cooperation with Shichibukai Blackbeard teach and sneaked into Impel Down together. They all showed a slight smile. Although I don't know what Blackbeard teach is going to do, with the hands and cadres of the 4 emperors pirate groups, they are completely unafraid of what Blackbeard can do. But at the same time Blackbeard can also provide the convenience of Shichibukai identity. 27 Jin didn't know at this time what the use of the mirror that Charlotte Bry brought by the old witch at the time was useful. When I took out the mirror, I realized that there was a sound. After that, a large group of them directly passed the ability of the mirror fruit and came to the warship that Blackbeard teach opened. Jack the Drow, Plague Quinn, the Flying Six Cells and almost densely packed members of Beasts Pirates first appeared on the Blackbeard and others warships. This is Devil Fruit's ability, it came through the mirror. It was the first time that this ability was seen in the eyes of Poison Q and others, and they were amazed. When they saw the 3 plagues of Beasts Pirates, their eyes trembled. After all, they are only active in the first half of the Grand Line, and the people who appear in front of them are all the fierce pirates of New World, and they are still the existence of the real 4 Emperors level pirate group. Each one is aggressive and has a completely different feeling. Badgers and others couldn't help but sigh, these guys are really completely different from the pirates outside of New World. Blackbeard teach also watched and smiled. Beasts Pirates is here, and next is the Bigmom Pirates. Sure enough, as the people from the Beasts group rushed out, people in these different Bigmom pirate groups began to appear in the back. Advertisement. First some ordinary people came out, and then hundreds of sons and daughters of Bigmom, such as Daifuku, Perispero and other ministers also appeared one after another. After the people of the Bigmom pirate group entered one after another, the 4 stars appeared on the warship with a powerful aura. Keita Cooley even stood on the warship with his weapon trident indifferent. Poison Q, Badgers, Lafayette, Van Oka and others also looked at these famous powerhouses in New World more clearly. That's the famous killer group of Beasts Pirates, Fly 6. That's Jack the Drow. It is said that even Admiral doesn't pay attention to him. It is all kinds of burials. I heard that it is still a murloc. The Bigmom pirates are horrible. Those are all ministers, right? And the strongest 4-star. Fan Oka and others all spoke in a low voice with trembling in their hearts. Does Captain Blackbeard choose to work with these guys? Is it really okay? Blackbeard teach has stayed on the Whitebeard ship for decades, and even experienced the battle with the Roger pirates. Of course, he would not be afraid of the 4 Emperors pirates, but instead looked at a group of people with bright eyes. If you turn these guys into your own subordinates, isn't it just around the corner to become a pirate group? Teach thought to himself, it seemed that these 4 emperors had these subordinates. Just when Blackbeard thought to himself, a huge figure, obviously bigger than the others, appeared on the warship. On the pink dress, the double-horned hat and the big split mouth look very scary. Just this figure is much more terrifying than the aura of the 3 plagues and the 4 general stars. Charlotte Linlin. It was Blackbeard teach who was used to seeing the big scenes, and seeing the majestic Bigmom again, he took a deep breath and calmed down. The other badgers, Van Oka and the other 4 were trembling physically, and it seemed that a sense of fear was born from the bottom of my heart. Oh, isn't this the honest man on the old boat of Whitebeard? Knowing that it was Blackbeard teach's Bigmom grinned, not salty nor indifferent. Advertisement. Marshal D. Teach, BIGMOM certainly knows this person. I have stayed on the Whitebeard ship for decades. This person existed very early. Although he was not well known before, all the forces thought of this person after the rebellion. However, BIGMOM looks down on this kind of person, but he did not refuse to cooperate at this time. Just kidding, you are 4 emperors, and you still remember me as a little character. Blackbeard also smiled and showed the missing teeth in his mouth. You are not a small person, get back to business, since it is a cooperation, you don't need to do difficult things, just sneak in with a mirror. BIGMOM gave Blackbeard the mirror originally handed over to Jin, and said solemnly. The first thing to do after entering is the Admiral White Lion. This is the biggest threat to Impel Down now, and 620's top priority. As long as the White Lion Admiral appears, those who Impel Down will stop first, and all the main combat power will deal with him. Charlotte Linlin confessed solemnly, with an unspeakable look of hunting on her smile. The 4 stars of Katakuri and the ministers nodded earnestly. Yes, if you rescued Kaido-sama, you still have to face this White Lion. It would be great if you can take the opportunity to get rid of it. Quinn also said fiercely that the threat of this White Lion is too great, and letting it go is a huge threat to everyone. Jin nodded in agreement, and Jack flashed a fierce light of revenge. Indeed, this White Lion can deal with it as soon as possible. I am afraid that with his talent, he will soon become more invincible, and even more invincible by then. Speaking of this, Blackbeard Teach is in favor of 100, and the purpose of cooperating with them is not to deal with the White Lion Xia Xing. After all, the White Lion is terrifying. Conqueror's Haki, the Overlord class, is deeply jealous when he thinks of it. But now the team of the 2-4 Emperor's pirates is very strong, even surpassing the 1,600-man team of the Whitebeard pirates. The 3 parties gathered to attack Impel Down, which is no less than a war that is currently underway at Marineford. Blackbeard Teach smiled confidently at everyone in front of him. Chapter 57. The White Lion is out to fight, the last squad. Advertisement. Impel Down the first floor on the sea, inside a quiet and luxurious house. There are all kinds of food and drink in front of Xia Xing, and the TV video bug is broadcasting footage from Marineford. The current Marineford battlefield is changing rapidly. 2 huge tsunamis were frozen into towering ice walls. Little Oz has appeared in the inner bay, his whole body was wounded by the violent coon bear, and his legs were cut off by Doflamingo. The pirates of the Whitebeard pirate group were tearing over Oz's body and rushed to the square. At this time, the giant vortex spider is also accepting Akainu Sakazuki's conspiracy and tricks, approaching Whitebeard to twist Getter. The Empress Hancock didn't come to Impel Down either. Is this timeline changed because of my joining? Watching the live broadcast and eating, Xia Xing couldn't help thinking about the timeline. Before the start of the Top War, it should be the pirate Empress who brought Luffy to Impel Down, but now that the Empress is not here, Luffy doesn't know where he was photographed by the violent coon bear and did not come to Impel Down. Then Blackbeard Teach guy won't give up his long-term plan, he should come, so there hasn't been any movement until now. Xia Xing looked out the window, which is a bit away from the port and the underground entrance, but if there is any movement, the phone worm would have notified it. And at this time, suddenly the entire Impel Down alarm rang. This is the most defensive alarm. Through the entire Impel Down, Xia Xing can still recognize this. Needless to think, at this point in time, people like Blackbeard Teach will arrive, because on the Marineford live broadcast, Shichibukai did not find Blackbeard in the lineup. Boom. Xia Xing was thinking that a huge explosion also occurred on the basement floor, and there was a bit more noise on the ground floor. After smiling, she stood up with a lazy figure, and Xia Xing gently put on the Admiral uniform. This is my last post for the world government, and I will take a good look at this Blackbeard Teach. Stretching, Xia Xing took the trouble and walked outside. Teach knew that he had come here without hesitation, and it was not easy to look at this movement. Advertisement. Beast's pirates probably came too, but they didn't know how they went in so easily. Sure enough, as soon as Xia Xing walked outside, she saw the jailer in panic and Marine soldiers under her, panicking. White Lion Admiral, a Marine lieutenant colonel originally had to direct the on-site organization to start a counterattack to the basement floor, and his eyes brightened when he saw Xia Xing appear. The White Lion Admiral is here, maybe there is a way. The soldiers who came to report the situation at this time also rushed over from the underground entrance in a hurry. White Lion Admiral, there is an emergency. The Blackbeard pirates didn't know what to do to bring in Beast's pirates and BIGMOM pirates. With a panic look on the Marine soldier's face, during a war at Marineford, he didn't even notice that the BIGMOM pirates and the Beast's pirates had changed. This in itself is strange and unimaginable. But Xia Xing is not surprised, these pirates have a variety of abilities, and it is not surprising that they are really hidden from Marine's ears. The BIGMOM pirates are here too. Xia Xing was also a little surprised. Without Kaido, she invited this terrifying woman to act. Yes, and the entire BIGMOM pirate group and Beast's pirates are here. BIGMOM is here in person too. Now on the basement floor, Warden Magellan is resisting with all his fighting power. Upon hearing the report from the soldiers, Xia Xing didn't wonder why this situation was so flustered. It was surprising that Blackbeard Teach even cooperated with the 2 pirates. With the arrival of BIGMOM and Beast's pirates, the situation of Impel Down is now no smaller than Marineford's battle. 2 big 4 Emperors pirate groups, 2 4 Emperors are now in this Impel Down underwater prison. Before Xia Xing could reply, the phone worm in his pocket suddenly rang. Xia Xing. As soon as it was connected, Marshal Sengoku's voice came over, and there was still a noise, shouting, and fighting. Mr. Sengoku. Sengoku called directly at the Marineford scene, and it seemed that he knew the situation here. Advertisement. Xia Xing. Impel Down is in a critical situation right now. 4 Emperors BIGMOM is leading his own pirate group to attack the Beast's pirates. Impel Down is extremely important. I know that your strength has not been done with all your strength, but this time, you be sure to hold on. The situation in Marineford now has no way to mobilize combat power, but as long as there is a chance, I will immediately go to support, hold, and hold. Xia Xing. As long as I hold, I will apply to the 5 elders to exempt you from all punishments. Marshal Sengoku's tone seemed very urgent and worried. Impel Down, whether it is the prisoner inside or the prestige of this prison, is very important in all aspects. But at Marineford, there is nothing that can be done. Impel Down's only hope is to put it all on the summer and be able to hold it. Facing 2 large pirate groups at the same time, even if Xia Xing can defeat Kaido, Sengoku doesn't think that Xia Xing can stop these cruel tricks. Okay, Mr. Sengoku, I will try my best. Hearing Marshal Sengoku said this, Xia Xing didn't say much. After saying his best, he hung up the phone. Whether BIGMOM and beasts are here, they will solve the problem at once, including Blackbeard teach. As for Marineford and King Impel Down, the situation of both parties must not relax a little now, they are not very optimistic. Xia Xing did not show too much expression on his face, and walked towards the entrance of the elevator step by step. White Lion Admiral, are you going on like this? Rear Admiral's face was astonished. White Lion Admiral answered the phone and walked directly over. It's okay. Walking in a haughty pace, Xia Xing walked directly to the county. At the opening of the elevator, Xia Xing could hear the fighting underneath before it went down. The roar of Magellan, the screams of the jailers, the arrogant voices of the 3 plagues and others, Blackbeard teach and BIGMOM. It's really messy, but Impel Down is not that easy to break. At this time, the elevator also stopped and it was still moving. Xia Xing went straight down alone, leaving Rear Admiral and others with a confused look. Chapter 58. One person deal with us all. Advertisement. The elevator sank slowly. Xia Xing leaned against the wall of the elevator with no expression on her face, kabuto with her pants in her hands. Until it descended to the first floor, the iron gate of the elevator hadn't opened yet, and a loud noise came out. With a muffled sound, Magellan's upside-down figure crossed the elevator door and hit the wall of the first floor. A large group of beasts pirates and BIGMOM pirates all stood on the platform of the surrounding cell on the first floor, with fierce smiles on their faces. And Hanyable, Little Saki, and other jailer beasts all fell into the iron forest in the middle, dripping blood and dying. BIGMOM, 3 generals, 3 plagues, Blackbeard teach and others brought a large group of people on the first floor and were directly blocked by Hanyable and the jailers, and then they were defeated fragilely. After Magellan arrived, he was directly knocked out. This is the Impel Down prison that is known as the Copper Wall and Iron Wall and cannot be escaped. In my opinion, it is nothing more than that. BIGMOM opened his mouth wide and laughed loudly. Blackbeard teach forced to enter as Shichibukai. After being refused by Marine who was guarding the door, he rushed in with a mirror. And Magellan, Hanyable and others, who were already waiting, quickly set up a defensive point on the first floor. I just didn't expect that this Blackbeard teach 620 actually took out a mirror, and 2 people from the pirate group appeared from it. All the preparations outside were useless, and the BIGMOM pirates and beasts pirates went directly to the first level of Crimson Hell. Although there is no way to directly enter the 6th floor, it is not difficult to enter the first floor now. Blackbeard teach has been here twice, and has already remembered the root structure of Impel Down clearly, and said with a smile to BIGMOM and others. 4 emperors are 4 emperors, and BIGMOM's terrifying body is truly breathtaking, and even Magellan's poison is not afraid of directly hitting this poisonous man. Then go quickly. Before the White Lion can react, let's go to the 6th floor to release Kaido. BIGMOM opened his arms and said directly. It just defeated Magellan who were in the original prison. The real guardian has not yet come. Advertisement. At this time, the iron fence door of the elevator on the first floor creaked and opened. Although there is still some distance, BIGMOM was the first to react through observation Haki, frowning. On the elevator side, there is an indescribable huge momentum approaching. The 3 plagues, Quinn, Jack, Katakuri, Cracker and others also reacted and looked over there. Until Xia Xing came out completely. Wearing a white Admiral military uniform, even the t-shirt inside is white, the young face looks lazy and calm. White Lion. There was a drop of sweat on Blackbeard teach's forehead for an instant, and a grin in his mouth. The shadow of being crushed by the White Lion Conqueror's Haki still remains in my heart. Teach has been a little bit abrupt now, but at this time he is not afraid. There are people with 2 big 4 Emperors pirate groups here, and BIGMOM is there, and the White Lion can't stop it. Jack the Dro, Fan Oka, Lafayette, Poison Q and all the guys who were suppressed by Xia Xing Conqueror's Haki showed a trace of sweat, all with the intention of returning with the intention of revenge. Xing stared at Xia Xing. And BIGMOM, Katakuri and the ministers all looked at Xia Xing with some curiosity. Only Katakuri and BIGMOM can see a little difference, that is, Xia Xing has an indescribable feeling. The others looked fiercely, even with a contemptuous smile on their faces. Magellan fell to the ground and was coughing up blood uncomfortably. In the middle, the jailers and some marine soldiers stood there shivering, and they all saw the White Lion Admiral walking leisurely. White Lion Admiral, don't come here anymore, just find a way to escape. This is no longer a lineup we can handle. Maggie Cha Loon saw that Xia Xing was still walking over, his heart was very anxious, and he hurriedly shouted loudly. This lineup is too strong, so strong that Magellan thinks Impel Down has fallen. The surrounding jailers and soldiers gritted their teeth in despair in the trembling, panic to the extreme. Advertisement. How can this be blocked? The 3 plagues, the 3 stars, all the cadres and elite pirates of the BIGMOM pirates, and all the elite combat power of Beasts pirates, the most terrifying thing is to stand among them, grinning with a terrifying smile 4 emperors, BIGMOM deity. This is really true, the 4 emperors level of the peak state. With such a lineup, how can the White Lion's admiral be blocked by himself? As for the victory, I can't even imagine it. The people are all here. I haven't tried to deal with so many people. Maybe I can give it a try. Xia Xing glanced around. At this moment, her eyes were no longer just lazy, she also showed a trace of Conqueror's Haki, which made the people like Blackbeard converge. Magellan looked even more eager when he heard Xia Xing's words. Before he could speak, there was a burst of laughter from the other side. Are you kidding? You want to deal with all of us alone? The figure is very tall, far beyond ordinary people, wearing a long sword with a spiral scabbard behind him. The 3 General Star Smoky couldn't help laughing. This White Lion is really fearless, does it really have such a great confidence in his own strength? We must know that with so many powerful players added up, Kaido can't defeat it, even the White Lion who defeated Kaido can't stop this kind of coalition. White Lion Admiral, keep your eyes open and see clearly how strong our side is. If you can leave now without getting in, how about letting you go? At this time, Blackbeard Teach could be regarded as a reaction, and said to Xia Xing with a funny smile on his face. Well, the White Lion Admiral is so young. If you know enough, you should take the initiative to leave, otherwise you will be at your own risk, White Lion. Big Mom's eyes condensed, and he said the same when looking at Xia Xing. If the White Lion can persuade him to retreat, he will have a lot of strength left. After all, he is the guy who can suppress Kaido, and it will cost a certain price to fight on his side. Our lineup, even if you run away, Marine will not blame you, Admiral, the White Lion. Yan Calamity Jin said euphemistically, it would be better to be able to do nothing without doing it. You were demoted to the guard of this Impel Down. With such treatment, why do you have to work for Celestial Dragons, World Government, and Marine? Kaido even spoke to Xia Xing with some earnestness. Chapter 59. One Eye Strikes Blackbeard. Advertisement. BIGMOM. These people have one sentence. Especially when Kaido seemed to persuade a child, Xia Xing was even more disapproving. You are already here, still want to persuade yourself to leave. You said so much, just do it, don't talk nonsense. Xia Xing stood and waved her hands, as if she was in a hurry to fight. This kind of appearance made everyone such as BIGMOM irritable. This White Lion Admiral is really toasting and not eating fine wine, which is too fearless. Who do you look down on? At this moment, Jin and Quinn and Jack looked at each other. Through eye contact, I understood that since persuasion is invalid, then we can only make a quick battle. It's Impel Down here. After a while, there will be more variables. Besides, the White Lion Xia Xing is not so easy to deal with. The aura of the 3 of them suddenly broke out. The shape of the whole body has changed. The strongest semi-beastization form suddenly changes when everyone does not react. With violent haki and strength, he rushed directly towards Xia Xing. Jack the Drow is even more angry, and now is a good time for revenge. The shame of being crushed to kneel will now be brought back. Seeing the 3 plagues rushing past like this, BIGMOM, Kaido, Blackbeard Teach and others did not expect it. The fire disaster, drought, and epidemic disaster directly took out the strongest form and attacked directly. Even Jin drew out the long sword he had been carrying, and emission haki was flowing between them, enough to see the terrifying power. Quinn in the form of a half-brachiosaurus was even more terrifying in terms of power than Jin showed. He slammed into Xia Xing all over. Jack's semi-mammoth form rushed to the front, and even the air was drawn out of white air by the 3 people's charge. Boom. Just 3 meters away from Xia Xing, Jack's attack was directly blocked. Don't move. Advertisement. Jack the Drow was shocked by the force of the counter-shock, showing a look of horror. This is Xia Xing's Conqueror's Haki defensive cover. The last time it was 1 meter away, but this time it was not even close to 3 meters in the strongest form. Jack's horror turned quickly, and at this time, the attacks of Jin and Quinn also attacked. Boom. There was another loud noise. The ground under the 3 people's feet shattered in layers, and the invisible shield 3 meters away from Xia Xing still couldn't be shaken. Even Xia Xing did not look at them, but still looked at Charlotte Linlin. Invisible shield. Kaido, Cracker and others all shrank their pupils and said solemnly. BIGMOM even saw it at this time. Almost in an instant, Xia Xing placed this invisible Conqueror's Haki shield within 3 meters. It really surpassed the top Conqueror's Haki. How can BIGMOM not be surprised? Even Roger did not reach this level. The only person I have ever seen is his old captain. Rox has shown this kind of Conqueror's Haki that can be condensed. Blackbeard Teach, together with other ministers and cadres, did not expect that the blow of the 3 plagues with all their strength could be blocked so easily, and they all showed expressions of astonishment. At this time, Jin, Quinn, and Jack reacted in horror, resisting the uncomfortable shock of the counter-shock, and once again shot with all their strength, constantly attacking Xia Xing's Conqueror's Haki defense. Bang, bang, bang. With a sound, the cracks in the thick stone floor under the feet of the three people continued to spread. The Xia Xing in front is still unchanged, even without expression. The three plagues were still struggling to attack there, and with their strength, let alone breaking their own Conqueror's Haki, even if they attacked like this last year, they couldn't shake it. The people of Fei Lubao and Beast's pirates just stared at the same place, with an unbelievable expression. They know the strength and immense power of the three big billboards best, and even after successive shots, they can't even touch the side of the White Lion Xia Xing. This is incredible. Is the invisible shield harder than Seastone? The three plagues have already taken full action, and Katakuri and others also understand that this battle must be quickly resolved, and Xia Xing's terrifying defense has been shown in front of everyone, and it must be shot. Secret Cave Road. At this time, Blackbeard Teach took the opportunity to make a move, and the black mist rose from the whole body while the dark fruit ability was activated, becoming more and more dense. For flowers advertisement. It's about to slap the ground with a palm, when the black fog spreads. Xia Xing looked at Blackbeard Teach, and felt uncomfortable with the rising black mist. Looking at Blackbeard Teach's eyes, Haki flashed, as if the surrounding space buzzed. Just take a look at Blackbeard Teach, the invisible conqueror's fluctuations instantly impacted Teach, who was releasing the dark acupoint. Boom. Teach didn't even have time to react. The whole person's eyes widened, and then he flew out, rammed through the cell wall with Seastone behind him, and wailed the baby. Even the prisoners shivering in the cell on the first floor were stunned. Blackbeard Teach fell under the broken wall and fell into great pain. 0. The White Lion is stronger. In the pain of being shocked, only unbelievable remained in Teach's mind. This hand of Xia Xing directly changed the expressions of everyone in Bigmom Fang, and they were extremely solemn. Blackbeard Teach was shot flying directly with just one look. Katakuri's heart couldn't help but feel tight. Teach is not a cat or dog, and he doesn't even have a certainty about this guy. He was knocked into the air by the White Lion so easily. Captain, Badgers, Van Oka and others were even more shocked, gritted their teeth and looked at Xia Xing, who was still being attacked by the three plagues. Lafayette and the other four couldn't help it anymore. Direct shots were the strongest move, and they rushed towards Xia Xing with great momentum. Flying Six Powers also transformed into an offensive at the same time, Phosphorth in the form of a saber-toothed tiger, Black Maria in the form of a tarantula, and a Triceratops form. As if returning to ancient times, the six alien beasts ran towards Xia Xing, roaring and attacking. The four members of the Blackbeard pirate group, plus the Flying Six Cells, the six ancient behemoths and the four did not dare to hide privately, and they worked hard to join the offensive of the three plagues. The terrifying attack sent a huge shock. The entire floor was caught in an unstable tremor. But let them attack. Xia Xing's Conqueror's Haki shield was rippled like a water surface, and all attacks were ruthlessly blocked. 0. Chapter 60. There are strong players above. Advertisement. Xia Xing also just watched indifferently. The people like the three plagues were anxious to make a quick battle with themselves, but they were not in a hurry, and even just launched a defense and let them attack. I also want to take a good look at how strong these guys can be. The three plagues, Quinn, Jack, and the likes of Fusafu, Badgers, Lafayette and other 13 people exploded with all their strength, and attacked again and again with almost no gaps. Fortunately, this is the ground of Impel Down, with the blessing of various steel materials, it is just that the floor under the feet shattered. If it were on the ground, I am afraid that a huge pothole would have been punched long ago. At this moment, after Jin slashed away, his eyes lit up, and the original 3-meter invisible defensive cover seemed to be a little closer to the White Lion Xia Xing. It was no longer the full 3-meter distance before. Hit the attack power and attack a little. White Lion Xia Xing's 620 inches defense is not invincible. Our attack worked. Jin yelled with excitement, letting everyone hit the fire. Quinn, Jack, and others all reacted, and couldn't help showing their joy. The attack of the shot is even bigger, more fierce, and all hits to 1 point for a seamless connection attack. Your attack is really good. Xia Xing nodded indifferently, and did not change because his Haki defense was beaten back a little bit. These are all just laid out by myself, and I don't care. And this look like a monkey was seen by Bigmom, and he couldn't stand it anymore. These guys just repelled a little bit and became so happy, and let the White Lion Xia Xing play like a monkey. Napoleon. Bigmom couldn't help it anymore and said directly. The double-horned hat on his head responded, Mom. The swelling turned into a big knife. Bigmom grabbed the handle of the knife directly, and Haki surged all over his body. Katakuri and others all showed surprised expressions. Mom is about to make a move. Weo. Bigmom's terrifying Haki flows, wrapped around Napoleon's sword, and the whole body is directly facing Xia Xing in the distribution of Conqueror's Haki, which is a knife. Advertisement. A giant purple sword flew out, and it flew straight towards Xia Xing, with a huge momentum. Jin, Jack, Quinn, and the Flying Six Powers, Badgers and the others all changed a lot. Unexpectedly, Bigmom slashed directly with a terrifying knife, and hurriedly avoided aside. Xia Xing looked at the sword chi cleaved by Bigmom, and still couldn't avoid it. The majestic sword energy slashed directly on the shield of Xia Xing's Conqueror's Haki, which even made Haki's lightning scattered. All the prisoners on the first floor were shivering, but they were stunned by Conqueror's Haki in the collision between Xia Xing and Bigmom. Many of the weaker jailers, soldiers, and pirates were all stared down by the shock. Magellan, who was stunned from the beginning, stood in front of the dying Hannibal and others, even more stunned. Is this the power of the four emperors level and the power of the White Lion Admiral? It's just a collision in the air. A strong air current burst out at the point where the sword air touched the shield. The power of the sword energy dissipated and disappeared, and Xia Xing's defensive shield also retreated 1 meter in front of him. Bigmom is Bigmom, it's amazing. Xia Xing chuckled lightly and couldn't help sighing. The combat power of the four emperors level was even stronger than the 3 plagues and other 13 players with a single shot. Sure enough, in the state of heyday, none of the 4 emperors is easy to provoke. Charlotte Linlin did not break Xia Xing's defense even when she used the prestige, she couldn't help but look gloomy. Seeing Xia Xing's performance like this, she felt a strong sense of insult. It is more like disdain for Bigmom. Then you can feel more. White Lion. Bigmom was a little angry, and stopped slashing in the air. Holding Napoleon's sword in his hand, the whole body's momentum rose and the surrounding air was distorted. With a swelling sound, I stepped directly on the platform under my feet, and slashed directly towards Xia Xing with a sharper knife. Boom. When the blade was in contact with the shield, there was a huge air explosion caused by the collision of Haki. Xia Xing's 1 meter range was even more rippling, but she still looked at the huge fat Bigmom with a faint smile. Advertisement. The more Bigmom looked, the more he felt his anger surged, and he attacked continuously one after another. Everyone in the room swallowed wildly, with cold sweat on their faces. After Bigmom shot, no one can intervene at all. And at this time, during the offensive of the 4 emperors, the entire Impel Down started an earthquake. The pervasive breath made everyone feel great pressure and breathing difficulties. The battle between Xia Xing and Bigmom was even more diffuse, and some of the walls that were split directly exposed the steel and sea stone inside. The entire Impel Down was caught in such a movement. The 3-story cauldron was shaking, the 4th story was shaken dust everywhere, and the 5th story ice was cracked. The impact on the 6th floor is relatively small, but the movements above can also be clearly felt. These fierce criminals on the 6th floor, as well as the remnants of the old era, felt this breath. Above, there are strong players fighting. Bullet raised his head and looked up, his expression serious. Who is the guy who can make the entire Impel Down cause such a movement? And today, isn't the Whitebeard pirates and Marine in a decisive battle at Marineford? Where can the strong come from? Everyone was a little confused about what happened above, but there was a scar, and the embarrassed Kaido laughed triumphantly on the ground covered with solidified blood. This is Laozi's people who have come to save Laozi. Kaido is very excited. At this time, who else is making Impel Down? Only to save myself, and in the breath from above, Kaido faintly felt a familiar taste. Hey, you guys, come to save me, do you want to let you go out by the way, the condition is to follow me, how about it? Kaido struggled to stand up, and after a whole night of recovery, although all the scars hadn't healed, and there was still severe pain on his body, he didn't care now, and spoke to the prisoners on the 6th floor. Each of these guys is a good player, and there are even top powerhouses such as Bullet, which is much stronger than Jack and others. The prisoners on the 6th floor looked at Kaido with some exclamation. This terrifying resilience, oh can stand up in one night. Chapter 61. Why don't you all go together? Advertisement. Kaido's injury has improved a lot, and Bullet and others can't help but be a little surprised. You must know that Kaido's body is still bound by sea stone, which limits Devil Fruit's ability. In this case, the blood flow continued, and the scars were terrifying, but now he has stopped bleeding, healed a lot, and even stood up. But for Kaido's words and the olive branch thrown out, Bullet and others couldn't help but laugh. Can you break through the guard of the White Lion Xia Xing with your beasts pirates? Kaido B***************, D, don't forget your injuries. The sand crocodile sneered and sneered ruthlessly. With the White Lion Xia Xing being able to beat Kaido like this, and Conqueror's Haki's ability to suppress everyone on the 6th floor, is Beast's Pirates here to deliver food? Xia 27 Crocodile is right, Kaido, I have recovered a bit from the injury and forgot the pain of yesterday. If it's just Impel Down, there may be no problem. The key is that there is a White Lion Xia Xing. How to break through? Does Beast's Pirates have a mouse-shaped guy coming in? Yuji Shiryu also said that he was in line with it, and said somewhat insinuatingly that even the most powerful mouse could not get in. Kaido heard everyone talking, gritted his teeth with anger but couldn't refute it. Indeed, Xia Xing's terrifying Conqueror's Haki was still suppressed in his heart. With him, he couldn't think of any way to break through and rescue himself. But this has caused such a big movement, who is it that exudes? Too far apart, Kaido's perception is only vague. And at the top. Bigmom continued to wield Napoleon's broadsword against Xia Xing and attacked fiercely. And Xia Xing stood in place, facing Bigmom's attack also appeared calm, the shield 1 meter in front of him did not move, even the power and Haki could not pass through. 1 meter of Xia Xing was already in tatters and a mess. A large area of coniferous iron trees was cut clean by Bigmom's Napoleon knife, and the ground was broken, revealing a thick iron compartment. Advertisement. Big Mom slashed for a long time, but it didn't have any effect on Xia Xing anymore, his expression also changed drastically, and his expression became gloomy. The guy who can suppress Kaido is really hard to deal with. Big Mom couldn't help but sigh secretly, and glanced at Katakuri. After such a small gap, Jack the Drow, Yanbanjan and others also took another shot. 13 people added Big Mom and shot together. How troublesome, are you all go together? The indifferent Xia Xing said with a chuckle. Big Mom is still not enough for her Conqueror's Haki defense, but this old woman seems to have not done her best, more like procrastinating. Xia Xing naturally knew the soul fruit ability of Big Mom. At this time, Big Mom didn't use more abilities, just attacked with Napoleon's big knife. At the same time, Xia Xing's words once again angered Bigmom, the Three Plagues, Fei Lubao and others. 14 people once again launched a powerful offensive. At this time, Xia Xing turned into a huge figure of the ancient species in Phase 6 cells, as well as the half-beastized Three Plagues, and looked particularly small in front of the Big Mom, who was also huge and incomparable. But no matter how powerful the attack was, it couldn't shake Xia Xing, who launched Conqueror's Haki defense. And just when everyone attacked Xia Xing, Katakuri squinted lightly, and the look that Big Mom cast just now naturally understood what it meant. The purpose of their coming here is to release Kaido, not to kill Admiral the White Lion. Now that it has been delayed, all we have to do is to sneak into the 6th floor according to the original plan. Just leave it to Mom here, let's go to the 6th floor and find Kaido. Immediately, Katakuri said to a group of people behind him. Advertisement. After finishing speaking, he took the lead in winding up the elevator that leads to the 6th floor. Magellan and others were also completely injured and unable to do anything. The White Lion Admiral was also besieged by Big Mom and others, and could only watch Katakuri taking the Big Mom pirate group and other cadres of Beast's pirates away. Blackbeard Teach fell to the rear at first, and now Katakuri and others began to leave and sneak into the 6th floor, and he quickly followed. The purpose of coming here by myself is also to find a strong subordinate, and then continue my plan. All these were in the attention of 620 Xia Xing, and he didn't care, but smiled. Standing here now is to allow Bigmom and others to attack, which is also deliberately done by myself. Katakuri, Blackbeard Teach and others quickly went to the 6th floor, which was the result they wanted. Otherwise, how can we give world government a big surprise? From the 1st floor to the 6th floor, it is only a time for raising and lowering. Katakuri and Blackbeard Teach quickly reached the 6th floor and crossed the dark and spacious corridor to the place where the prisoners were held. The appearance of a group of people made all the prisoners on the 6th floor completely agitated. Someone really broke through the guard of the White Lion Admiral and came to the 6th floor. Bullet, Crocodile, and even the Red Earl Letterfield were shocked. Katakuri, Parasparrow, Daifuku and others walked all the way, but Blackbeard Teach slowed down. Now that you have reached the 6th floor, there is no need to panic. Among them, Jinbei, the seaman outside the cell, was the first to recognize them. Katakuri, Teach, Chapter 62, Kaido grabbed Blackbeard's play. Advertisement. The Bigmom pirates and Shichibukai's Blackbeard Teach are now here. The prisoners on the 6th floor couldn't help but be surprised. What is the situation? Thieves, ha ha ha. Jinbei, are you surprised? Bigmom pirates, Beast's pirates and I joined forces to attack Impel Down and broke in. Blackbeard Teach couldn't help but said with a smile. The criminals only reacted, and it immediately felt not strange. It's no wonder that there is such a big movement above that Bigmom is also involved. Bullet said blankly. The movement above continued, and it became even more violent. No matter how strong the White Lion Admiral is, there should be a limit. With the addition of the Bigmom pirate group, it seems that it is not impossible to restrict it. It is normal for people like Katakuri and Blackbeard to break through. What's the situation now? Kirkdale's expression condensed, and he couldn't help asking aloud. Even the Bigmom pirate group also joined in. With the White Lion Admiral's Conqueror's Haki, the number of people shouldn't be a threat, right? Bigmom, the Three Plagues and others are just delaying the White Lion. They can only keep attacking around the White Lion, but they can't get close at all, and they can't break the defensive cover. We can only find the opportunity to hurry down to the 6th floor. Blackbeard Teach walked behind, wiped the bloodline at the corner of his mouth, and smiled, but his eyes were solemn. This sentence shocked the hearts of the remnants of the old age. Bigmom and others were besieging the White Lion Xia Xing and didn't break his Conqueror's Haki defense. You mean, Charlotte Linlin besieged the White Lion with others, and did not pose a threat to the White Lion? Red Earl, Bullet showed a look of astonishment when he heard Blackbeard's words, and couldn't help but feel a little shocked. The White Lion guy is really exaggerated. Neither a group of people nor Charlotte Linlin can shake his defense. Conqueror's Haki. The rocks back then may not be able to achieve this level. After all, Kaido was just a person at the time, and now this same powerful Bigmom and the Three Plagues and others have not shaken it, let alone broke it. Advertisement. Allowing these prisoners to look at each other, Katakuri and others knew their mission and went straight to the door of Kaido's cell in the depths. As soon as Blackbeard Teach approached, he saw Kaido who was standing by the bars of the cell, smiling. Kotaku didn't expect Linlin to come. This is Quinn's idea. Kaido chuckled. It was his own people who came to save him, and the Bigmom pirates also came. It is impossible for this woman to support without paying the price, but no matter what the price, they did the Three Plagues right. If Charlotte Linlin hadn't come, it would be really difficult to enter this 6th floor, and I'm afraid it would be impossible to fight the real monster of the White Lion. Katakuri and Daifuku, Parasparrow, Blackbeard Teach and others couldn't help showing horror when they saw Kaido. What kind of injury is this? These ministers of Dafu couldn't help being shocked. Kaido is extremely tall and burly, with black hair and shawl, and sea stone chains are wrapped around his hands, feet, and body, but you can see that everything is wrapped in coagulated blood. And there are 9 wounds on his body that have begun to recover, and each of them looks so shocking. It can be seen that the flesh and blood have begun to recover, but if it is before the recovery, what a terrible injury should this be? Katakuri and Blackbeard Teach both looked at Kaido in surprise, and everyone behind them swallowed a few throats. I was completely frightened by Kaido's injuries. After a brief exchange, Katakuri directly broke the cell door with a weapon in his hand and unlocked the sea stone chain on Kaido. With the sound of hitting, Kaido is no longer bound by the sea stone, and the awakened Udemon's fruit ability also makes Kaido start a rapid recovery. White smoke began to emerge from the wounds on his body, and the hideous scars on his body quickly healed. Clenching his teeth and lowering his head, Kaido moved his arms comfortably, but the recovered scars left 9 huge scars on his body. White Lion. Looking at the scars on his shoulders and chest, Kaido's eyes showed hatred. Since you are free, then quickly retreat. Although Mom and the 3 plagues are fighting with the White Lion Xia Xing, the situation is not very optimistic. Advertisement. As Katakuri said, he took out a mirror from his body and left, and was about to take Kaido away directly. Kaido laughed loudly at this time, and did not leave directly. Walking outside the prison door, his gaze also scanned the 6-story criminals, Bullet, Red Earl Letterfield. Hey, now I really broke through and rescued me. What about you? Who wants to follow me? I will take him along. Kaido laughed and yelled to Bullet and others seriously. These 6th-tier criminals are real talents, and Kaido really wants to let Bullet and Red Earl have the fighting power stronger than the 3 plagues and others to join his command. Katakuri and the others in Charlotte showed surprised expressions. Kaido at this time did not forget to recruit these talents. Be your subordinate, Kaido, you are not Roger. Bullet laughed, not caring about Kaido's words at all, and refused with disdain. What are you kidding about? Just a 4 emperors and want to surrender and follow. If you go out, the first thing to solve is Marine Admiral and New World 4 emperors. Roger can't do it. If Rox comes, I might still consider it. King. Letterfield even took out the title of Rox. The meaning of the 2 people's words is very clear. Kaido is not qualified to let them be his county. Kaido is no accident. These 2 guys, Bullet, are even more arrogant than himself. They were once known as Roger's heirs on Roger's ship. When Lonely Red became famous at its peak, it was a legendary pirate with Whitebeard, Roger, Golden Lion and others. As soon as this sentence came out, many people struggled with their eyes. Many other criminals also seemed to want to go out. If I can go out to the outside world, I might be happy to follow you. At this time, Shiryu, the guardian Changyuji, spoke for the first time. As long as you can leave here, it doesn't hurt to follow Kaido, and Kaido is not a weak person, but really stands among the many pirates like Stars, one of the 4 kings on the sea. Chapter 63. Follow you. Kaido, do you have this qualification? Advertisement. I am willing to. The big wine barrel also stood up at this time and said with a smile. The evil king, the crescent hunter Caitlin and the others even seemed to be a little impatient. They have been detained here for a long time, and they have been wiped out by the world government even outside. The days here have completely bored them. It's impossible to follow you, but if you can take me out, I don't mind being your ally. Sand Crocodile smiled, but said something to Kaido. And this scene made the corners of Blackbeard Teach's mouth twitch. Didn't I come here to convince these people to be subordinates? If they all run away with Kaido, what about my plan? Sand Crocodile, although you are Logia's fruit-capable person, but you are too high to see yourself, do you think it's great to challenge Guo Twang Gate? Here, apart from these few, I still look down on other people. Kaido glanced at Crocodile contemptuously, and said disdainfully. Then he pointed to Bullet, Letterfield and Berndy Waldo, who was frozen in ice, dismissed the surrender of others. Blackbeard Teach 620 is relieved. The guy Kaido wants to recruit now looks down on himself, not to mention other people. Kaido doesn't like it either. Crocodile, Caitlin and the others all turned gloomy when they heard Kaido's words, but they didn't expect Kaido to pay attention to them at all. Kaido naturally does not look at other people. If it is outside, it would be great to have such people join, but now Kaido does not have the idea of accepting these guys at all. After all, the others couldn't even catch the casual Conqueror's Haki of the White Lion. Governor Kaido, we are here to rescue you, the others are not included, and the situation is very urgent now, every time here will bring great danger. Katakuri frowned at this moment and said that Mom was still fighting with the White Lion outside, and Kaido started to wrestle here directly when he was released. Katakuri, Quinn is conditional when they find Linlin, I can give you more benefits you need, but these 3 guys, I must find a way to bring them out. Advertisement. Kaido heard Katakuri's words and spoke directly. The meaning of the words Shaw couldn't help making Bullet and others looked over in surprise. What does Kaido want to do? So he wants to take them all out. You go to unlock that frozen guy first. Without waiting for Katakuri and others to think about it, Kaido pointed to one of the cells and said. Katakuri, Cracker, Daifuku, Perispero and others all looked at each other. It's just that if you can get the benefits that Kaido promises, it seems to be very cost-effective. Anyway, it seems that there is no big problem at the moment. Katakuri finally nodded and asked people to open Berndy Waldo's cell to open Shikai Jia. Kaido laughed when they agreed, and Waldo woke up soon after the thawing. I opened my eyes in a daze, staring blankly at the many powerful men in the cell, as well as Kaido, and couldn't help being a little surprised. What's happening here? In the confusion, Waldo finally understood it under the explanation of the people of the BIGMOM pirates. 3. The White Lion is very powerful, and you must be very clear, don't you want to really fight against the White Lion? Continue to stay here, are you going to get rusty here until you die? Instead of this, it's better to talk to me. It's not more fun to make a big mess in the world. Kaido did not give up, but continued to persuade Bullet, Red Earl Letterfield, and Waldo. All three of Bullet narrowed their eyes, and they hadn't spoken yet, but Katakuri on the side spoke curiously. Governor Kaido, what on earth do you want to do? Kataku Sorrel's complexion was a little dignified, and a little anxious. The fighting movement above got bigger and bigger, and the tremor of the entire Impel Down never stopped. Of course it's a tooth for a tooth. Even if you can't completely defeat the White Lion Xia Xing, he will have to pay the price. Kaido said fiercely, and this attitude made Bullet a little contemplative. Advertisement. But Kaido's mind at this time is indeed extremely jealous Xia Xing. The progress is too great, and the strong is outrageous. How old is the White Lion? If you continue like this, I am afraid that it will not be long before you can really have no way to clean up the White Lion. But taking this opportunity, and with Charlotte Linlin also present, may be able to directly defeat the White Lion at once and completely solve this hidden danger. Kaido's words made both Letterfield and Bullet contemplative, but how could he surrender to Kaido? It's okay to go out, but when your subordinates don't need to talk, I would rather die here. The lonely red voice came out quietly. What a powerful character he is, even more terrifying than the current Kaido he was back then, not to mention that he has not made much progress because of the decline of the environment and physique, but he is not much weaker than that of the past, he must be strong. Kaido is not qualified yet, but if we cooperate to deal with the White Lion, this can be considered. Me too, be your subordinate. Kaido, you should know that you are not qualified, unless you are a character like Roger or Rox, but nowadays, there is no problem with cooperating to deal with it. Bullet also chuckled, bluntly set out the conditions, and was extremely resistant to being Kaido's subordinates in his words. Kaido frowned when they heard that neither of them wanted to join him. Brandi was already sober at this time. Waldo smiled and showed missing teeth. Just follow you, Kaido, I promised, you let me out, it's fair for me to join you. Waldo said straightforwardly, thinking about finding a chance to escape after going out here, and making a comeback by himself. World Destroyer verbally readily agreed to finally give Kaido a sense of comfort and laughed. As for Bullet and Red Earl, I also knew that there was little chance of persuading them. This guy has his own persistent beliefs, and he can only wear it out slowly after going out. Welcome to Beast's Pirates, World Destroyer. Bullet, Letterfield, happy cooperation. Kaido didn't say any more, and agreed in one gulp. With the combat power of 3 people joining, maybe he can deal with the White Lion. And thinking of the sense of fear brought by the White Lion, Kaido couldn't help feeling cold sweat on his forehead, and the scars on his body were a little painful. Chapter 64. Add more warriors to the battle. Advertisement. After a few decades, Bullet and Red Earl Letterfield and World Destroyer Brandi. Waldo was released. Bullet is tall and strong, although it is not as big as Kaido, it still feels like an explosion. For 20 years, Bullet has been limited by Seastone's abilities, but he has constantly strengthened his body, and the power on his body has already been terrifying. Both Waldo and Earl Red looked a lot older, but their aura rose with a majestic aura after they were relieved of their shackles. After the 3 came out, they moved their hands and feet, and smiled vigorously. This scene made the prisoners who saw it couldn't help but become restless, and they revealed their eager eyes. Dark days, days without freedom are such a torment for them who have been like a day for 10 years. After releasing the 3 of Bullet, Kaido did not leave directly through the mirror on Katakuri's body, but a cold murderous intent flashed in his eyes. Let's go up and join hands with Linlin to get rid of the White Lion. Kaido didn't care about the current restlessness of the 6th floor, Roard said. The eyes of the BIGMOM pirates, such as Katakuri and Perispero, are bright. This lineup may really be able to completely solve Admiral White Lions here. No way, the 4th Admiral White Lion brought them too strong a sense of threat. For these pirates, it is best for the young, genius and terrifying White Lion to get rid of it as soon as possible. Now is indeed a good opportunity. Beasts Pirates plus BIGMOM Pirates, as well as 2-4 Emperors, Bullet and the legendary Red Earl, Brandi Valdo. This lineup has completely surpassed the Whitebeard Pirates currently in the Marineford War, and is even enough to compete with the complete Marine. With Kaido as the leader, everyone followed and walked towards the elevator leading to the 1st floor. On the other hand, Blackbeard Teach did not follow Katakuri and the others, staying in place and watching the 6th floor criminals who were eager to get out. Thieves, ha 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 ha, you guys want to go out too. If you want to leave here, start killing. Only the strongest are qualified to stay as my subordinates. Blackbeard Teach burst into laughter, and the aura of the whole body finally began to show up at this moment. In the face of Blackbeard Teach, some prisoners were stunned in prison. Advertisement. Some of them showed disdain and disapproval. Who is Blackbeard Teach? Are they eligible to join after the fight? And the rising Blackbeard gave a sneer, and the black mist rose up, directly facing a group of 6-layer prisoners. People like Big Keg and Caitlin looked at Blackbeard Teach with great interest. This force is very strong, and this Teach is still carrying this kind of power, and is qualified to make them subordinates. Then, astonishing movement broke out on the entire 6th floor, and they began to fight one after another. Blackbeard laughed wildly. What a bloody fight. For freedom. The Sand Crocodile, Jinbei and Shiryu of the Rain all frowned in the cell alone. Do you want to join me too? Blackbeard Teach showed a sincere smile and said sincerely to the three of them. Suddenly, Crocodile frowned, and a hint of hesitation flashed in his heart. I've been waiting for a man like you, Teach. Yuji Shiryu smiled. It can be said that Blackbeard Teach fits the image of the boss in his mind, and at this time he directly agreed. The old man won't join you even if he died here now, Teach. Jinbei looked at Blackbeard Teach with a look of anger. This criminal who killed his companions, the old man wanted Marineford to fight to rescue Ace. He recruited the power of his pirate group here, which made Jinbei rage all over, struggling with chains all over his body clinking. Jinbei, don't be so excited, you don't want and won't kill you, after all, I've known each other a lot. With a playful smile, Blackbeard said to Jinbei, and began to release Shiryu of Rain, but Crocodile finally gave up, without any hesitation, and sat back in the darkness of the cell. And Crimson Hell on the 1st floor. The Warden Magellan was completely stunned, holding hands, Hannibal and Shaosaki and others retreated to a farther place to watch. For Flowers 00. Advertisement. BIGMOM, Jin, Quinn, Jack, Fei Lubao, and other 14 people have been constantly attacking. The powerful force has completely destroyed the entire floor, and the ordinary criminals have been collectively stunned. And outside the transparent defensive cover of the White Lion Admiral, let BIGMOM and others continue to use a variety of powerful abilities and skills, just not moving. Can't break through, and the entire Impel Down prison has long been unable to bear the tremors. Xia Xing is still smiling faintly. At this time, BIGMOM is another terrifying prestige and it fell on Xia Xing's transparent Conqueror's Haki shield. The lightning effect caused by the collision of Conqueror's Haki spread everywhere, and the strong wind whirled on the 1st floor. But after BIGMOM split, it was a little sweaty and gasping. The three plagues and others have been attacking with all their strength, and they are even more unbearable and a little tired. 4 Emperors BIGMOM, is that the end? It's just that, I thought you could attack enough, but that's all. Xia Xing said with a smile, her hands still slumped, as if an old senior was disappointed with the younger generation. This time, Big M couldn't help being furious. Others are even more ugly, this white lion looks down on them so much. BIGMOM began to have a pink mist rising all over his body, and his eyes and face began to look terrifying. The power of the soul fruit has started to activate, and the aura like a hell which permeates. And at this moment, it was very abrupt, and a lot of ferocious aura came through the elevator. Xia Xing looked at the elevator, slightly revealing a trace of unknown meaning, and looked at it indifferently. Magellan felt the breath and the sound of the elevator stopping, and was shocked. Big Mom couldn't help but listen to the movements in his hands, and the others looked at the elevator entrance with a change of expression. This is, everyone's expressions changed drastically, and Big Mom's eyelids jumped a few times. 0. Chapter 65. All besieging the White Lion. Advertisement. I saw Kaido leading out of the healed scars of the beast Kaido, and his fierce face was even more brutal. Kata Curry and others are still there, but the 3 more people Big Mom also recognized one after another. World Destroyer, Waldo, a ruthless man who has been famous for decades, specializing in the pirates of the world government. Douglas, Bullet, Roger's former crew member, has the name of the heir to the devil. It is said that he was still on par with Rayleigh back then. BIGMOM knew this Bullet, and he had seen it when he was still aboard Roger. And the last white hair was braided in 2 braids and hung over his shoulders, wearing a plum red shirt and blood red trousers, wearing black leather shoes with gold edges on his feet, and wearing a large blood red cloak with evil charm. Smiling old face. Lonely Red, Letterfield. Unexpectedly, he came out. 6, 2, 3. Big Mom was shocked this time. How did Kaido convince this legendary character? This Letterfield is not comparable to others. He is from the same age as Roger, Whitebeard, Golden Lion, Garp, Sengoku and others. He is on an equal footing with Roger and Whitebeard on his own, and he is extremely powerful. At this time, Xia Xing watched so many people appear, couldn't help but laughed, and sat down straight on a raised rock, looking at Kaido with interest. Blackbeard Teach hasn't come up yet, so don't worry. Lin. A haze flashed through Kaido's eyes at BIGMOM. Kaido, okay, the same is true of Big Mom. The 2 people have not seen each other for a long time, and the 2 people in private still have deep knots. But at this time, the 2 had a pair of eyes, and they both began to clear up their previous suspicions. If you have anything, save it and say it later, the most important thing now is to deal with this guy. Afterwards, Kaido also laughed, turning his head and looking viciously at the lazy white lion Xia Xing sitting on the rock. BIGMOM, Bullet, and Letterfield also stared at the past, and their eyes revealed the meaning of dignified and bound to win Xia Xing. Magellan and the trembling soldiers and jailers all had cold sweat on their faces, and their eyes were terrified. They were also very close to the direction Kaido and others came from, and couldn't help pulling the unconscious Hannibal and others back. The 3 strongest people on the 6th floor escaped. Magellan is even more unimaginable. The current lineup is actually directed at the White Lion Admiral. Advertisement. 4 Emperors plus legendary pirates, and these cadres of the 4 Emperors pirate group. What a powerful lineup, just to defeat the White Lion's Admiral. No matter how you look at it, they have no chance of winning. Even so far, they have not broken the White Lion's Admiral's defense. Huh, you finished talking so soon. Xia Xing looked indifferent, even a little teasing. You just need to relive the past, I am here waiting for you. White Lion, I admit that I am not your opponent by myself, but now. I am no longer alone here. Kaido stood in front of many people and opened his hands, his face filled with murderous grin. How do you deal with this lineup? Kaido, it turns out that you are relying on them. The injury healed very quickly. I thought you had some great trump card. Xia Xing chuckled, revealing the inattention in the words. The number of people is meaningless in front of oneself. And this ignorance of everyone made Bullet, Letterfield and others gloomy. After they went to sea, have they ever suffered such contempt? Before, Seastone limited the ability. White Lion, you will know how powerful I have accumulated over the past few decades. Bullet showed a cruel smile and said to Xia Xing, with veins violent on his head. This is obviously an angry smile. Your Conqueror's Haki is indeed unimaginably powerful, but I must leave here today. No one can stop it, even if it's your White Lion. Lonely Red Letterfield didn't know when he took out a black umbrella sword, hung it gently on the ground, and responded calmly to Xia Xing. But the firmness in the words is obvious. Burndy. Waldo was the first time he saw the White Lion Xia Xing with his own eyes, and he was a little surprised. Such a young man turned out to be the White Lion that Kaido and others were extremely jealous, admitting that no one could beat him. Marine, he really found a monster-like genius. The aura on his body is very powerful. Oh, advertisement. The previous lineup couldn't break through your Haki defense. Isn't the current lineup a problem? Big Mom laughed and didn't care about Xia Xing's performance, and the black mist that stopped rising appeared again. Invincible. White Lion Admiral, run out first and wait for Sengoku. Magellan looked at the lineup that had become so powerful that his pupils tightened, and couldn't help shouting with concern. This lineup is already stronger than the Whitebeard pirates, I don't know how much. But before he finished speaking, Bullet was covered with black armament Haki directly on his hands, and Magellan hit the wall directly with a flash. You talk too much, Warden. Bullet sneered and said disdainfully. Now I still want the White Lion Xia Xing to run away and call someone. I think too much. Looking at the abruptness, Magellan was knocked into the air, almost knocking out his body. Xia Xing's eyes couldn't help but condensed at this moment, a little angry. Bullet, you will be worse than others in a while. Seeing that Magellan is only suffering from a punch now, but there is no danger of life, Xia Xing said coldly. Although there is no intention to kill people, Bullet must have Magellan miserable countless times. 0.0 at this time, Kaido knew that time could not be delayed forever, and couldn't help it anymore. Do it. With a loud shout, Kaido's body shape began to change rapidly amidst the purple thunder and lightning covering all of Kaido's body. Opening your mouth is the concentration of fire, and the huge heat burst towards Xia Xing. All the gravel ground along the way was melted and dissipated by the impact. Burndy Waldo raised a handheld cannon directly from the side, and fired it at Xia Xing, which was a 100-fold increase of shells. With a black umbrella, Letterfield disappeared in place like a ghost. Bullet laughed even more, and after a long time he used his armament Haki to cover his whole body. In an instant, everyone launched an attack. Chapter 66. The White Lion is a pervert. Advertisement. Letterfield's speed was unimaginable, and he approached Xia Xing in an instant faster than Kaido's first heat. Trying to touch Xia Xing, Haki reads Xia Xing's heart with his extraordinary talent. However, I felt the Conqueror's Haki cover in front of Xia Xing's inestimable strength before getting close to 5 meters. How can even the defensive cover have such an undetectable horror? Letterfield was shocked suddenly, gave up the idea of being close and dodged while frowning. In the back, Kaido and Burndy Waldo attacked. How powerful will a 100-fold increase of shells be? One cannonball can blow up a pit as large as a person, and 100 cannonballs can explode more than a crater 100 times the size. That power grows almost geometrically. Waldo's cannonball, which was getting bigger during flight, followed the heat gushing out of Kaido and headed towards Xia Xing. The heat was surging, and it hit the defensive cover in front of Xia Xing straight like a pillar of fire, causing waves of ripples to spread. The flame swept behind Xia Xing in a circular arc, burning things behind her, but the impact completely disappeared. It's like Xia Xing's defensive cover blocked all the impact of power. At this time, Burndy Waldo's 100-fold shells also arrived in front of Xia Xing's defensive cover. Boom! Such a huge shell exploded, and the power of heat is unimaginable. The huge explosion caused stones to fall on the entire floor, and Crimson Hell was completely messed up. Fortunately, this is a large undersea prison that is completely reinforced by steel and sea stone. Otherwise, if the hole is blown, everyone will be flooded by the sea. But in the center of the explosion, there was an iron wall cracked, exposing the second layer below. And Xia Xing was completely wrapped in the dense fog of the explosion, and she couldn't see her figure clearly. At this time, Bullet's muscles are surging, and the emission-like Haki is flowing all over the body. With a swelling sound, he smashed the ground and punched him in the dense fog. Bullet was extremely fast, and accompanied by the hurricane blowing away the smoke, revealing the undamaged Xia Xing inside, and instantly hit the Xia Xing transparent defensive cover. Advertisement. Boom. It is the lightning effect of Conqueror's Haki shock spread again. The steel floor under Bullet's feet was creaking, and finally, the defensive cover was retreating, getting closer and closer to Xia Xing. The final frame was fixed in the range of 10 centimeters. Bullet's eyes trembled, and a huge counter-shock force was acting on him. The vigor of the aftermath is spreading around, and Kaido's dragon eyes are even more shocking. Berndy Waldo and others are even more unbelievable. It's really extraordinary. Impel Down 6 levels of monsters. Xia Xing sighed and said that his defensive cover was beaten by BIGMOM for a long time and it didn't shrink much. Kaido and Bullet and others were able to attack this situation. How can it be? Bullet's pupils shrank, and he couldn't help showing a shocked expression. How outrageous is this guy's Conqueror's Haki? There was still the uncomfortable pain of being back shocked on his fist, and then he jumped back. The attacks just now were all focused on one point, which is also the point where BOGMOM secretly informed everyone that they have been attacking. However, even such a combined offensive can't break Xia Xing's Conqueror's Haki defense. Although it has shrunk to 10 centimeters, it has not broken or it has not broken. It means that the White Lion's defense cannot be broken. Everyone showed a shocked look, and even BIGMOM gritted his teeth very solemnly. Is his defensive cover really Haki? 3 Plagues Jack, Quinn, Jin, and Fei Lubao all became suspicious. Is this definitely not Devil Fruit's ability? Haki is a person who has not reached this level even if he is armed. This kind of combined terrorist crit can't be broken, isn't he in a state of invincibility all the time? There are also ministers and cadres of the BIGMOM pirate group, the 4-star Katakuri and others, and the cadres of Blackbeard all said in shock, that one can't even hurt anyone. You know, the White Lion Xia Xing hasn't moved in that place all the time. Bullet, Kaido and Berndy Valdo are all first-class powerhouses, even if the Red Earl didn't directly shoot, but now it seems that there is not much difference between the shots and the shots. Advertisement. This defensive cover is really too pervert. Absorbing the impact of power, it is extremely strong, and even the power of the explosion can be directly absorbed and disappeared. How powerful is the White Lion Xia Xing? The other 3 Admiral don't seem to be so powerful, right? Berndy Waldo was the first time he saw Xia Xing's exaggerated Conqueror's Haki, and he was more shocked than the others. It's really unbelievable, this seems to be unprecedented. You, what kind of monster are you? Kaido suddenly couldn't imagine why they all made a joint shot, and all the attacks were at the weak points and still couldn't break the White Lion Xia Xing's defense. The eyes of Magellan and the other soldiers and jailers were about to fall, and there was a glimmer of hope in their hearts. A hint of thought that I didn't dare to have before emerged from the bottom of my heart. Perhaps the White Lion Admiral can really block these strong men of the old era from joining forces with the 2 great 4 emperors. In the audience, only Earl Hong 623 did not say a word. His eyes were shocking and he seemed to perceive something, and his expression became dignified to ultimate. It's you the monster, Kaido, since you have all shot, now it's mine. Xia Xing saw that everyone was almost here, and she had tried her defense when she was ready to take the shot. As soon as her voice fell, the lazy expression in her eyes changed drastically, and a Haki came out. Conqueror's Haki poured out frantically and suddenly enveloped the audience. The sound of space trembling appeared in everyone's minds. Some weak pirates in the BIGMOM pirate group and Beasts pirates fainted to the ground on the spot. Boom. Then the terrifying deterrent power was truly revealed. Except for the 3 plagues and the 4 general stars, the rest have no power to fight back at all. Even the ministers such as Perispero, Daifuku, Owen, and Opella couldn't resist. Less than 3 seconds after Xia Xing Conqueror's Haki was enveloped, they directly shook the soul under the power of terrifying deterrence, and fainted directly after turning their eyes past. The same is true for Fei Lubao Fusafu and others. The mighty Conqueror's Haki swept like a storm. The 4 general stars and the 3 plagues felt unprecedented pressure. Chapter 67. Impel Down has been destroyed. Please subscribe automatically. Advertisement. It is simply the suppression of the soul directly. There was a strong wind on the entire ground, the rubble on the ground rolled in disorder, and the dust was full. There were big cracks in the surrounding walls due to Xia Xing's Haki impact. Bing and Quinn are also the first time to face Conqueror's Haki from the front of a White Lion. At this time, their bodies are shaking with Haki's surge, and only Xia Xing Haki is left in their minds. Eyes. Katakuri, Cracker and others in the 4-star are clenching their teeth. This is simply the feeling of an ancient monster. The 3 plagues and 4 generals were completely shocked and incredible, and the surrounding companions had fallen down and fainted. Kaido, BIGMOM, Bullet and Red Earl have all jointly released their own Conqueror's Haki to resist Xia Xing's Haki suppression. This scene looks like a purple Conqueror's Haki realm is firmly suppressed by the surrounding invisible and colorless space, constantly compressing the purple Conqueror's Haki sphere. Compared with Xia Xing's Haki, Conqueror's Haki, which Kaido and others have teamed up, is completely insignificant. It didn't take long to persist and was completely suppressed by Xia Xing, and the aftermath of the boom spread. The huge Conqueror's shock caused the entire Impel Down to shock. Fragments of purple Haki were scattered everywhere. White Lion Admiral is how powerful is this? Magellan and the soldiers and jailers looked completely dull, and even oneself couldn't believe the sight in front of them. Among the densely packed people of the 2 great pirate groups, now only the 3 plagues, the 4 general stars, Kaido, BIGMOM, Bullet, the Red Earl and World Destroyer are still standing. The rest, even those of the 4 emperors pirate group, have all passed out in a coma. After Xia Xing crushed the Conqueror's Haki that Kaido, Bullet, Big MOM and others had joined forces, she also put it away, looking at them indifferently at shock. And the huge movement here was clearly felt by Blackbeard Teach and the prisoners who were slaying on the 6th floor. This is, Kaido took Bullet and they went to war with the White Lion Admiral. With such a big movement, I am afraid that even Red Earl has also joined forces to attack. Blackbeard Teach's eyes were bright, and there was excitement in his heart. No matter which side wins or loses, it has no effect on you, and it is even better to lose both. Advertisement. It is very likely that the White Lion used it. At this time, Blackbeard had a large wine barrel and the Evil King and others were already standing, and the Evil King couldn't help but say aloud. This kind of offensive that made the entire sixth floor tremble violently is not the feeling of a joint attack, but more like a complete attack by one person. Kaido was chopped 9 times by Xia Xing, and the horror feeling that Conqueror's Haki suppressed them is still there. So it feels more like a White Lion's hand. Blackbeard Teach's eyes were solemn, and he really thought it was possible. The three of them glanced at each other, and couldn't help but pray in their hearts. Kaido will solve the White Lion when they go up, or it will be fine if both lose and lose. It's on the upper layer at this time. Conqueror's Haki of the White Lion Xia Xing made the 12 people still standing extremely jealous. It's just that Xia Xing shot a Conqueror's Haki suppression, which is extremely powerful and exaggerated. You must know that it is not only some small ones who fainted, but even the famous pirates at sea. Kaido, Bigmom, Bullet, Red Earl Letterfield, Burndy Waldo, and the 3 plagues and the 4 general stars all have drops of cold sweat on their heads, their faces are ugly and solemn. For a moment, only they were left standing here. It was just warming up. Xia Xing looked at their expressions and smiled. In the face of Xia Xing's sight, none of Bigmom, Kaido and others dared to take it lightly, so solemn, and suddenly speechless, even Kaido in the form of a green dragon was covered with sweat on his face. The next thing is the highlight. Who of you should start? Xia Xing defended for so long just to make Kaido and others come up together to solve it, too lazy to walk, and now that they are all there is no need to keep defending. As for Blackbeard Teach and others, they can always get up from below and can't run away. Xia Xing's gaze swept, and no one could help but make the others' heart burst. Because Xia Xing after starting to use Conqueror's Haki to suppress it is not as lazy as before. Now he is more like a terrifying king of Haki. The atmosphere sank in an instant, and a sense of tension permeated. Advertisement. Don't be broken by him one by one, you can't have any clumsy thoughts. You must use all your strength to deal with him completely. Kaido was excited by Xia Xing's eyes, and immediately roared. Bullet and others also reacted in a roar. Now only defeating the White Lion Xia Xing is the only way out. While roaring, Kaido's body shape changed, and it changed again into a half-dragon form, a dragon-tailed face. Zeus. Prometheus. Amid the rising pink mist of Big Mom, a thundercloud and flame appeared on the left and right. With Napoleon's knife in one hand, and Thundercloud in the other hand, with his hair flying, Bigmom at this moment also took out his strongest state. Dark purple light was glowing all over Bullet, and everything that could be decomposed around turned into inorganic matter and began to aggregate on the body and began to form armor. This is the awakening of the combined fruit ability is being activated. In the hands of Burndy Waldo, the 100-fold increase in Momo Fruit's ability is directly placed in armament Haki on his body. The Haki entwined all over the body is thicker, and the terrifying aura suddenly erupts. On the contrary, the aura of the Red Earl Letterfield was not as violent as the others, but the observation Haki was fully opened, and the armed conquerors wrapped around the black umbrella sword became unusually calm. The 3 disasters Jack, Jin, and Quinn saw that the big guys started to show off, and couldn't help turning into ancient forms and retreating a lot. Among the 4 stars, Cracker and others did the same, retreating a lot. Katakuri flashed a red light in his eyes, launching a short-term prediction of the future. He saw Kaido and Bigmom launch a terrifying attack but found that he couldn't see Xia Xing's figure at all. I couldn't help being shocked, and even those who foresee the future could not see the White Lion. Just now, the half-dragon Kaido and Bigmom stand together. The terrifying aura of the 4 emperors merged together at this moment, turning this Impel Down one level into a real hell. Chapter 68. The power is good, it is commendable. Advertisement. The flame thunder is rising, holding Napoleon's Bogmom and the half-dragon Kaido's momentum rising, and launching a terrifying attack at the same time. The 2 used their own skills to unleash an extremely terrifying combined attack. A large power shock that can penetrate an island burst out, and it rushed towards Xia Xing. Bah hi. Kaido and Big Mom's eyes are full of belief in killing, which is about to cause shock and damage to Xia Xing. The powerful energy impact is extremely fast, and when other people's offensives have just been mentioned, the one move of domination has already arrived in front of Xia Xing. This trick is worth seeing. Xia Xing muttered to herself expressionlessly, and was immediately overwhelmed by this domineering energy wave. Puff. Boom. A loud voice lit up. Kaido and Bigmom's combined force hit the Xia Xing's defensive cover and made a bang, but it still couldn't shake Xia Xing's defense. Then, with the inertia, it directly changed the direction, and directly bombarded the pass towards the top, making a huge movement. Crushed stones and rotten iron fall, and dust is everywhere. The entire floor is shrouded in dust. The wall, the reinforced iron wall, or the seastone reinforced everything was destroyed by Kaido's horrible tyrant. Only the outermost wall that defends against seawater is nothing. The entire dome of the first floor of 623 was directly broken by this trick, and the entire roof was lifted through the sea floor, exposing the sky above. Everyone thought that Kaido and Bigmom had already launched a full-scale move that could be said to be the most powerful offensive they have ever seen. They all think that this kind of move will definitely work for Xia Xing. In fact, the offensive that destroyed the world and the earth even caused the entire floor to have a huge destruction. It caused the 3 plagues, the 4 general stars and the bullet, which activated the combined ability, and the Red Earl were shocked. The 4 emperors of this era are indeed well deserved, and it is such a terrifying trick that even Earl Hong has only seen it once in the Rocks era. Too strong. However, as the air surging, the dust dissipated. Both Kaido and Bigmom, who had smiled triumphantly, froze. An unbelievable look. Advertisement. Others swallowed their throats, the same expressions were incredible. When the dust dissipated, Xia Xing put his hands in kabuto still indifferently, and stood in place with a relaxed expression. The buildings and ground on the first floor had long been destroyed by Hihai's move, and only the ground under Xia Xing's feet was intact. Kaido and Bigmom were completely shocked, their expressions were dull. This made them not know how to react. This move to dominate the sea just ended the Rocks era. I don't know how many powerful opponents at sea have been defeated together. Now that they have launched this move with the strength of the 4 emperors, even Whitebeard, Golden Lion, and even Garp can only dodge and dare not hold on, let alone other people. And it is so powerful that the move that shocked Letterfield's heart, even Xia Xing's defense did not break. How this did not shock them and shocked everyone. No, look at the feet of the White Lion. In the shock of Bigmom, there was a discovery that pointed to the ground at the feet of Xia Xing. Kaido and others also paid attention to the past and looked happy. The broken ground under his feet is only 1 centimeter away from his body. Kaido, Bullet and others all reacted, and even Red Earl was surprised. That is to say, Domination Sea is not ineffective, and it is infinitely close to the limit of the star's defense power. The White Lion is not really invincible. The power is indeed very strong. It is the most powerful and destructive move I have ever defended. Xia Xing looked at Kaido and others who were beaming because of shrinking their defensive shields, and also exclaimed a word of admiration. The combined attack skills of the 4 emperors are really extraordinary, and it's not something ordinary defense can follow. Looking around and at the top that had already been lifted off, Xia Xing also had a headache. There is really no way for this level of destructive power, and it is considered good if Impel Down is not penetrated. At this time, Bullet's excited voice sounded. The activation of his combined fruit ability has been completed, and he has turned into a giant. Even Kaido's huge dragon body is almost huge, and his body is covered with a terrifying armament haki, which can faintly perceive the meaning of Conqueror's haki. Success. White Lion. The sound of Bullet's laughter came out of the giant's body. Advertisement. After more than 20 years, he has used his abilities again, and he is now in a state of awakening, and his body is covered with haki. He is extremely tough and powerful. The huge fist of the right hand was raised high, and towards the lower Xia Xing, it slammed into the past with the force of overwhelming Mount Tai. The huge fist completely covers Xia Xing's head. Bullet is very confident that Xia Xing can't avoid this trick at all. With the White Lion Xia Xing, Kaido and Bigmom's move were hardwired, and can they still take the horrible punch of Bullet? Boom. There was another huge movement. The ground on the entire first floor trembled, and even the debris of the walls and rocks on the ground were shaken and flew up. The powerful wind spread, and even the air was blown apart by this fierce and huge punch. But it was the horror of the bullet after the fit, and it stopped at a position 1 centimeter away from Xia Xing's eyes, and no matter how hard it was, it couldn't get in that little bit again. How can it be? Bullet couldn't help but screamed. The whole body's haki and power are already fully activated, and there is no hand in it. However, it still hasn't broken, shaking Xia Xing a bit. Is it only this level? Xia Xing smiled, did not even take out her hand, and said without a change in her expression. The voice just fell. The Red Earl and Berndi Waldo have already attacked at this time. Boom. Berndi Waldo's entire offensive hit the defensive cover when it was still a long way from Xia Xing, and couldn't even get close to Xia Xing's 10 centimeters. This is already the effect of a 100-fold increase. On the contrary, Earl Red was holding a black umbrella sword, and a black sword aura appeared in Haki's entanglement, and he stabbed Xia Xing without hesitation. Although the momentum is small, the attack power is unimaginably powerful. Xia Xing's defensive shield was covered with Bullet's huge fist. Blocked Berndi Waldo's attack in front of him. On the other hand, Earl Red stabbed a little bit from the skin of Xia Xing on the side. Chapter 69. Earl Red has found a weakness. Advertisement. No matter how much the Red Earl Letterfield urges the power of his whole body and haki, he can't move forward so much. Red Earl also looked at his umbrella sword unexpectedly. It seems that only a few millimeters can touch the umbrella sword of Xia Xing's skin. It is precisely because of such a little distance that it has become the distance between the sky and the earth. It's really worthy of being a guy who can sit on an equal footing with Roger and Whitebeard. This knife is already better than the quality of the trick that he used to dominate the sea just now, a lot. Looking at the black umbrella sword that was only a little away from him, Xia Xing couldn't help but praised it. This sword aura has completely caught up with the destruction of the tyrant sea just now. Berndi Waldo and Red Earl, as well as Bullet, Kaido, and Bigmom all looked shocked. At this time, the 3 plagues and 4 generals that also launched attacks. Brachiosaurus form, Mammoth form, and Toothless Pterosaur. Among the 4 generals, Katakuri even activated the awakening glutinous fruit ability. The attacks of the 7 were equally powerful. But now Xia Xing didn't have the idea of people like the 3 plagues and 4 general stars playing slowly. With a straight look, the huge Conqueror's haki directly rushed over. No matter how large the size of the 7 people is, the 3 plagues, or the 4 general stars that are mobilizing their abilities, are hit by a powerful impact, and they have no resistance, and fly upside down like a cannonball, directly hitting the sea stone. Spit out blood on the wall. Impossible. Can't even catch a look. Kata Curry was shocked in disbelief. Observation Haki couldn't predict the White Lion, and now even the White Lion's casual glance can't hold it. What kind of monster is he and how powerful? You are all done attacking, then it's time for me. Xia Xing's face was expressionless at this time, her body was magnificent, and she directly locked onto the huge fit bullet. Red Earl and Brandy Vardo both changed their eyes and quickly retreated. A bad premonition just emerged in Bullet's heart, and a horrible Conqueror's Haki went directly from the top to the bottom, and the pressure fell from the sky. The terrifying oppressive force of the armed Conquerors made a direct bang, causing the ground to tremble fiercely. Bullet's armored giant was directly crushed on the ground, and was directly crushed by the squeak. Bullet, who had recovered his original body, slid on the ground with a strong support. Advertisement. A pair of eyes are red, the muscles of the whole body bulge, and the whole body of Haki is converged in the body to support it. There was even a roar of unyielding voice in his mouth. Xia Xing frowned slightly when seeing Bullet like this, and directly released Conqueror's Haki. Bullet's eyes paled in an instant, and he roared like a whine. Puff. Click. Under Bullet's body, the stone ground was completely crushed to pieces, exposing the solid steel and other hard materials below. However, it is almost Xia Xing's full release of Conqueror's Haki suppression. Is this power? In the bang, these steels and even the hardest sea stone cracked directly, breaking a big hole. Bullet turned Byakugan, was directly suppressed and suffered serious internal injuries, and even vomited blood in the air and fell to the second floor. Whether it was Kaido, Boigmom, etc., as well as the injured 3 plagues and 4 generals, all were shocked again. Is this Conqueror's Haki? What kind of exaggerated power is this? The giant armor formed by Bullet's combined inorganic matter was crushed, and even the hardened ground between the first and second floors, and the reinforced ground that would be undamaged in the battle was directly crushed. And just when everyone felt horrified and shocked. Holding a black umbrella sword not far from Xia Xing, Red Earl Redfield stretched his brows. Your Conqueror's Haki can only attack one person at a time, right? Earl Hong's eyes flashed brightly, and he spoke directly. Kaido, Big Mom and others all showed different surprises. What did Earl Red find? My observation Haki was fully open, and it was so close to you, I finally caught your Conqueror's Haki flow. It was originally divided into 2, one part attacked Bullet, and the other part defended, but you just attacked Bullet with all your strength, so you lost it. Defense. As long as you make your best shot, you can seize the opportunity to break through Conqueror's Haki's defense and attack you. Red Earl was telling his findings, his face was extremely confident. Advertisement. Kaido and Bigmom were overjoyed and excited. The White Lion is not invincible, as long as you seize the opportunity, you can completely kill the White Lion. What you observe is really meticulous, and the sights and sounds that can read memories and heartfelt are really extraordinary. Even Conqueror's Haki can be captured. What if I only defend? Xia Xing laughed, and couldn't help but speak out curiously. This Red Earl was a man who was alone in the sea, which is really not easy. Your defense is not unbreakable, because your Conqueror's Haki also needs to be consumed and replenished. Even if you keep defending, as long as we continue to besiege, sooner or later you will not be able to keep up with your physical strength. Then it will be your end. The black umbrella sword in Earl Red's hand swung across and spoke eloquently. Xia Xing couldn't help but was a little breathtaking. It's true that one person can twist together with Whitebeard, and the existence of One Piece Roger, there is really something. Xia Xing's lack of rebuttal and sophistry made Kaido and everyone else start thinking. The White Lion is more like acquiescing to Earl Red's words. It turns out that the trick to defeating him is here. As long as the White Lion makes an attack, it will definitely expose its flaws, and if it does not fight back, it will remain passive until it is consumed by everyone and waited for it to be killed. Immediately, Kaido couldn't help it. The power of the whole body was violent, and the half-beasted dragon's tail floated in the air like this, and the excited Haki was even more violent. The strongest form, coupled with the strongest attack, Kyo 3, Yin Naraku. On the mace that I didn't know where he brought it from, Haki's surge, black and red lightning surged directly towards Xia Xing. Kaido launches this offensive regardless of himself, what he wants is Xia Xing's full shot. There was a violent wind on the entire floor, and the sky above everyone's heads did not know when the dark clouds were covered, and the purple thunder and lightning were surging. Although Xia Xing lamented the analysis of Red Earl, he also knew what Kaido was playing now. Decisively choose to meet Kaido. The invisible giant sword formed by armament Haki condenses in the air. Toward Kaido is to chop with all his strength. 0. Chapter 70. His conquerors are endless. Advertisement. In an instant, Haki and lightning fell on Haki, and the strong wind around him and the purple lightning flashing in the sky all seemed to be suppressed. Toward Kaido is to fall straight down. Puff. The mace in Kaido's hand was directly smashed by Xia Xing's armed Conqueror's knife, and even the impact of Conqueror's Haki did not appear. Under Xia Xing's full shot, the castration went straight to the past. Kaido didn't expect that Xia Xing would really dare to make a full shot. With horror in his eyes, he dodged desperately. Please ask Xia Xing Haki to lock it. But in the end, a huge cut was cut from the shoulder to the lower abdomen, and Kaido screamed in pain. And that is at this moment. It's now. BIGMOM, Berndi Waldo, Red Earl and others brightened their eyes. They seized the opportunity and the 623 clubs all used their full blow. Hakoku. BIGMOM directly used a move that was even more powerful than Wio, and the flames and thunder flashed all over the body towards Xia Xing's bully, and he took Napoleon and slashed it out. Berndi Waldo even picked up a huge axe, 100 times more powerful armed color blessed the whole body, using the power of the whole body to smash it with one axe. Red Earl Letterfield even wanted to flash away Xia Xing like a ghost, and the black sword or on the umbrella sword was extremely condensed and terrifying. The entire floor was originally trembling because of Yinluo and Xia Xing's Conqueror's Haki, and now with the power of the Red Earl and others, the entire Impel Down seems to be about to collapse, and the slate and hard bricks on the wall have fallen out one after another. An iron wall composed of seastone in the middle. Your end is here. Bullet, who was completely unable to get up on the second floor, also saw the present scene. He couldn't help but roared while vomiting blood, with a look of expectation in his eyes. It must be successful. However, all this is destined to disappoint Bullet and even despair. The three of them were so powerful that they were extremely terrifying, and immediately fell in front of Xia Xing when they caused a big movement at this moment. And these three terrifying attacks stopped directly in front of Xia Xing. A stronger, more terrifying, and invincible Conqueror's Haki directly formed a powerful defense around Xia Xing's body. Boom. Advertisement. All the attacks fell on the shield of Conqueror's Haki, and all the power was completely absorbed by Conqueror's Haki's defense in the outbreak. A large pile of debris such as rubble and iron on the ground floated up, and then fell down after a loud bang. The shock of terrifying energy dissipated, and a burst of air flow set off, forming a tornado like a tornado in the strong flow of this circular place on the first floor. The movements of Earl Red, BIGMOM, and Berndi Waldo all stopped, and even their expressions began to froze, and there was a deep shock and puzzlement in their eyes. Kaido was even more stabbed, his body retreated and his eyes widened unimaginably. No, it's impossible. Kaido's eyes showed panic, his expression twisted and shouted because of pain. Now I was once again hit hard by Xia Xing, and the pain was extremely painful. However, Xia Xing's body still launched Conqueror's Haki's defense when attacking at full force. Could it be that he didn't use all his strength at all? This time, there is no need for anyone's explanation, everyone can see clearly. The White Lion indeed attacked Kaido with all its strength, not even moving his body, but at the same time, another stronger and more terrifying Conqueror's Haki burst out of the White Lion's body. Because of this, the defense formed by this Conqueror's Haki completely suppressed the attacks of all three people. The background of his Conqueror's Haki is astonishing as never before. Charlotte Linlin was completely shocked. Even Captain Rox did not have such an exaggerated Conqueror's Haki. This White Lion, how did he get such a powerful Conqueror's Haki? As Conqueror's Haki endless, Earl Hong's face was completely pale and gloomy. I predicted that I was wrong. By this time, both Kaido and Bullet were seriously injured. The situation is not optimistic again. In particular, Berndi Waldo is now abruptly in his heart, and has even retreated. Such a powerful and invincible White Lion can still fight like this. Finding a chance to escape quickly is the right choice. And the beast Kaido is now in the half-dragon body, and the look of fear flashes in the eyes. Advertisement. The defense can't be broken, the attack can't be taken. This is exactly the same as the situation on the 6th floor last time. The three plagues Jack, Quinn, Jin, and the four General Star Kata Curry all have a common understanding in their hearts. This White Lion Xia Xing is simply invincible, it can't be defeated at all. In the second layer, vomiting blood continued, and the embarrassed Bullet gave birth to a feeling of powerlessness due to its declining breath. Conqueror's Haki, which has both offensive and defensive capabilities, can also be covered with armed-colored Haki to form an invisible knife that can slash Kaido. What exactly is needed? What kind of strong person can defeat this fellow White Lion? Bullet only felt weak, and lay motionless on the ground. Magellan watched a battle completely, and now he is a little numb in shock. The 2-4 Emperor's pirate group, Red Earl, Bullet and others joined forces one after another and failed to shake the White Lion Admiral. Even more frightening is that the White Lion Admiral severely wounded both Bullet and Kaido while talking indifferently. All the soldiers, jailers, and Magellan all came out with surprise expressions. The White Lion Admiral is so powerful to such a terrifying level. Even some marine soldiers chanted the mighty words of White Lion Admiral. Just in Kaido, Big Mom, Red Earl 0.0 Letterfield, Berndi Waldo and others were shocked and didn't know what to do next. They could only confront Xia Xing and didn't know how to speak. This is Conqueror's Haki who completely surpassed Captain Rox. At this time, the phone bug in the pocket of the Xia Xing military uniform's coat rang. I'm Sengoku. Marshal Sengoku's voice came from the phone worm again. But listening to the voice, it is obvious that the battlefield of Marineford is still fighting fiercely. What happened to Xia Xing? Impel Down. Marshal Sengoku's words seemed very worried. Xia Xing glanced around Kaido, Big Mom and others. No problem, Mr. Sengoku, we'll guard them in place, none of them can escape. Chapter 71. Blackbeard dumbfounded. Can this be lost? Advertisement. Xia Xing answered the call worm indifferently, completely ignoring Bigmom, Kaido, Red Earl and others. Marshal Sengoku did not forget to contact him when the battle was anxious, and he finally breathed a sigh of relief when he heard Xia Xing's words. Since Xia Xing said that none of them can run, then they can't run. I'll leave it to you to pay attention to Impel Down. Marshal Sengoku continued to yell and fight like that, and hung up the phone with confidence. Obviously, I still trust the strength of Xia Xing. At this time, Red Earl, Kaido, who was seriously injured again, and Bigmom, Valdo did not dare to act rashly, and his expression was extremely gloomy. Miscalculated, completely miscalculated. The two Four Emperors pirate regiments and the remnants of the old era are not the opponents of the White Lion alone. Earl Red felt a deep sense of powerlessness in his heart. Marine has such a pervert. It is estimated that Whitebeard's twisting to save people at Marineford will soon be a disaster. The balance of the three major powers of the Grand Line may be completely broken by the appearance of the White Lion. 27. Bigmom's expression is very complicated and I sighed in his heart, even now they have no better way to deal with Xia Xing. It is even possible that there is no chance to escape. At this time, there was movement in the direction of the elevator. Blackbeard Teach has completed his solicitation, and is coming up leisurely with Shiryu of Rain, Beryl, Katrine and others. There has been no movement for a long time, maybe the battle is over. Blackbeard Teach dared to walk up with the newly recruited subordinates because of the silence. But when passing by the second floor, Blackbeard Teach and others saw that Bullet, who was injured by vomiting blood, was lying on the ground miserably and struggling to remember. When I was shocked, it was too late. Because the top is the first layer, when they walked out, the big wine barrel, Kachengalin, the evil king and the others were shocked. Blackbeard Teach is even more heart-stricken. Destroyed, the Crimson Hell on the first floor has been completely turned into a ruin. The place where the light source was originally needed is now extremely bright, and the top of the entire floor has been lifted off. Time to baptize place. Advertisement. In the middle, Bigmom, Red Earl, Waldo and the injured Kaido were surrounding the White Lion, but no one dared to move. The worst was Kaido. At this time, he said he was surrounded by the White Lion Xia Xing, but he couldn't even stand still. There was a huge wound on his body, and the blood kept pouring out. The White Lion Xia Xing's face still has a calm smile, unscathed, just put the phone bug in his pocket. My subordinates, the subordinates of the Four Emperors pirate group, have fainted to the ground, and even the Three Plagues and the Four General Stars hit the wall, and they are about to stand up with pain, and they can't afford to fight. Magellan and a group of soldiers and jailers also thought at this time. Blackbeard Teach cast a weird and indescribable look. The atmosphere of the audience is extremely weird. Blackbeard Teach and others, including the giant battleship San Juan Evil Wolf that was poking out from below, stared in their hearts. All five of them were sweating, showing a look of horror. It's over, the Four Emperors didn't defeat the White Lion, but instead. There were 10,000 regrets in Blackbeard Teach's heart. Why did you come up at this time? It happened to hit the White Lion's muzzle. The body and brain are reacting in this rapid response, and wanting to make the elevator go down quickly, the huge head of the evil wolf retracts even more. Xia Xing installed the phone bug and squinted to the side of the elevator. She couldn't help but smile. This Blackbeard Teach came at a really good time. Why, it's all happening on the 6th floor. When you come up, you won't say hello. Come over. Xia Xing snorted, sat on the big rock behind her again, and said to Blackbeard Teach who wanted to avoid. Forehead. Blackbeard Teach was shocked with the figure of the evil king, Katrine, the Beryl or the evil wolf. It seemed that there was an invisible power of terror in a place where they couldn't see it, making them horrified. Immediately, Blackbeard Teach reacted eagerly, showing a pleasing smile, and walked over with his newly recruited partner tremblingly. Although I don't know what the White Lion is going to do, there is no death at present, and the form is stronger than that of human beings. Teach rationally chose to obey. Even the guy with the huge body of the evil wolf climbed up from the 2nd floor, and the cat didn't dare to resist. Advertisement. I didn't see that Bullet was dying on the 2nd floor. Now that even the Four Emperors dare not move, Earl Hong and others are afraid of cold sweat. The result is already obvious. Such a strong lineup is not an opponent of the White Lions alone. The Red Earl Letterfield and the Bullet, who was lying on the ground on the 2nd floor, could not get up. The two of them would have been imprisoned in Impel Down until they died naturally. But World Destroyer Waldo showed eagerness. He wants to escape. And at this moment, when Xia Xing's attention shifted to Blackbeard Teach and others, Valdo, who was originally far from Xia Xing, decisively opened 627 to activate the fruit ability to bless his own speed, a 100-fold increase. The next is like a black shadow rushing towards the door of the 1st floor. As long as you pass this door, you can walk up to it and leave directly. Xia Xing didn't even glance at who was running away, but Conqueror's Haki burst out instantly. As a result, Valdo was directly suppressed by Xia Xing's Conqueror's Haki on the ground before he even reached the door, unable to move. The whole person was lying on the ground where the steel was originally exposed, and his expression was terrified. Can't you escape even at such a fast speed? Red Earl, Kaido, and Bigmom all shrank their pupils, and their complexions were so gloomy that they could drip ink. Boom, boom. Waldo was miserable at this time, was suppressed by Xia Xing's Conqueror's Haki, and was repeatedly hammered. Screaming and wailing, unbearable to bear the pain that penetrates into the depths, and the body is plunged into the iron ground. Xia Xing didn't even turn her head back, instead she looked at Blackbeard Teach and the group of people as well as Red Earl and others frightened. Bigmom faced the inexplicable look in Xia Xing's eyes, and couldn't help it anymore, and said in a trembling voice. White Lion, what are you going to do? Chapter 72. Escort the prisoners to Marineford. Advertisement. What am I going to do? Xia Xing exhaled heavily, stood up, and looked at everyone on the scene. First and Marine. You are pirates and criminals. Of course, you have all been arrested. However, Impel Down can't detain you anymore. You must be sent to another place to be detained. Xia Xing looked at the surrounding Impel Down, shattered, shrugged. Bigmom, Kaido, Red Earl and others all looked at each other. Berndi Waldo was no longer hammered by Xia Xing's haki at this time, spit out a mouthful of blood, dying to close his eyelids. Don't run away anymore, just do what the White Lion wants. Earl Hong and others also understood that there was no difference between being arrested and being at this time. Kaido, the strongest in his body, was severely wounded by the White Lion Xia Xing's armed Conqueror's haki. Even if Bigmom is inherently strong, the physical body known as the steel balloon has no confidence to be able to carry it down. I didn't expect that one day I could be so powerless and let others slaughter. Bigmom's heart is complicated, and now I can only endure it and stop speaking. Is there a helmsman? At this time, Xia Xing looked at Blackbeard Teach tremblingly approaching and asked. Yes, it's Badgers. Blackbeard Teach hurriedly pointed at his unconscious subordinate and said. Well, you wake up people, get on a warship and take you to another place. Xia Xing nodded, somewhat expressionless, and then walked straight to the outside port. He didn't know how to sail. Some soldiers were seriously injured. Magellan and others stayed to clean up the situation. Xia Xing didn't want to take Marine's people away at this time. As for Kaido, Bigmom, Red Earl, Berndi and others, they all looked confused, but they didn't dare to act rashly at this time. I fought with the White Lion. Except for the heavily injured Kaido, Bullet, and Berndi Valdo, the other people consumed a lot of energy. Almost all of them attacked Xia Xing's defensive cover with all their strength. Advertisement. Now, everyone can only follow Xia Xing to the outside port obediently. They have the idea to escape but have no confidence to escape. They are ready to take a step. The three plagues Jack, Quinn, Jin, and the four-star Katakuri, Cracker and others all woke up their pirates and told everything that happened. Everyone fell into silence. Unbelievably, I had to accept that this combination of four emperors was also defeated by the White Lion Xia Xing, and I realized that I was preparing to send everyone to another place for imprisonment. Don't talk about the pirates, it is Perisparrow, Dafu, Phosphord, who is flying 6 cells, dare not speak more, knowing that Guy, Bigmom, Red Earl and others can only be obedient and dare not make trouble. They can only accept it in shock. After Blackbeard Teach woke up Badgers and the others, he explained it again with a bitter face, and let Badgers take care of it, and quickly followed the pace of Xia Xing. In the harbor, everyone consciously boarded the warship and stood up with their heads together. Xia Xing lay up on the bow as soon as she boarded the warship, stretched her waist, and her lazy temperament resurfaced. White Lion Admiral this, carrot. Magellan and all the jailers and soldiers were shocked to see the whole process. Now Xia Xing wants to take these prisoners and 4 emperors to other places. After reacting, they chased them out, but they didn't know how to speak. Impel Down has been broken into this, and these guys can't be imprisoned anymore. I will take them to another place to imprison them. You can take these people here to clean up the aftermath. This is an order. Xia Xing is also the first time since becoming admiral to put forward 2 words of order. Magellan and others can only accept it. At this time, Blackbeard Teach walked over respectfully. White Lion Admiral, where is our destination? Everyone had consciously boarded the boat, and Blackbeard Teach asked. Go to Marineford. Xia Xing lay comfortably on the bow and replied. Kaido, Big Mom and Red Earl could not help being surprised. What are you going there? The White Lion actually wants to take them to Marineford. Isn't there a battle with the Whitebeard pirates right now? Although no one knows exactly what the purpose of Xia Xing is, but after boarding the ship obediently, he stayed on the deck. No one dared to disobey or escape at all. Even the Kaido and Big Mom of the 4 emperors, as well as the legendary Red Earl, Bullet and others dare not act rashly, and the others are even more honest. And everyone saw it. The White Lion Xia Xing didn't want to kill them at all, otherwise it would have already done it. Advertisement. As for what it means to go to Marineford, as long as you can live, everything has room for reversal. So everyone stayed quietly and honestly. Xia Xing was also spread out on the recliner at the bow, sleeping comfortably. Then the warship drove out slowly and headed directly to Marineford. On the other side, Marineford Naval Headquarters. The war has been on for quite a while. The battle between the Whitebeard pirates and Marine, the fight has also entered a fever. Since Luffy didn't use the pirate Empress Hancock to enter Impel Down, he did not appear on this battlefield. And Whitebeard Twet led the whole team and directly confronted the Marine Admiral. Even though Twet was so powerful that it was boundless, he could even suppress it steadily against Akainu and others. There was a shock between his shots and the ground cracked. However, all of this is developing in a bad direction. After all, Whitebeard Twist-Getter was already seriously ill, and suddenly suffered severe heart cramps during the battle with Akainu Sakazuki. Even a man like Twistgate couldn't bear it completely, Wang Li Jiao, and the movement of his hands couldn't help but stagnate. Coupled with being stabbed by the vortex spider not long ago, Whitebeard Twistedgate was completely in the most debilitating position. As Akainu Sakazuki, who has experienced many battles and even used tricks with his own hands, his eyes are bright, and naturally he will not miss this opportunity. A blow of the lava fist took advantage of Whitebeard's injury and pain, and hit the Twistgate's chest when he was weak. Monument. Whitebeard's face changed drastically, and he took a few steps back extremely uncomfortably. Father. Marco, the Phoenix who was fighting with Kizaru who was fishing, couldn't help turning his head and shouting worriedly. Father Whitebeard's body, he knows best. If it weren't for the injury, how could he be hit by Akainu unsuspectingly? But because of the onset of Whitebeard's twisting illness, the entire Whitebeard pirate group was in a dangerous situation. Chapter 73. Whitebeard Marine collectively shocked. Advertisement. Seeing that Whitebeard's twist gate was hit by Akainu, Marco had no intention of fighting with Kizaru anymore, so he wanted to go directly to support Whitebeard before turning around. At this moment, the Vice Admiral Ghost Spider's eyes lit up, holding the Seastone mirror in his hand, and chasing him with Marine 6 styles, he caught Marco's hands and feet. What? Before Marco could react, a bright laser beam directly penetrated his right chest. Don't be distracted, Marco. Kizaru Pelusolino smiled slightly. Marco was caught in such carelessness, and it was easy now. It was like a chain reaction, as Whitebeard twisted Gat and the Phoenix Marco were restrained and injured. Diamond Joe's on the other side was a little confused at this time. Aokiji seized the opportunity and froze directly and cut off Jaws' arm with an ice skate. Within a short period of time, the two sides who had been fighting hard, the Whitebeard pirates instantly fell into a difficult situation. On the execution stage, Huaquan Ace looked in agony. Seeing that Daddy Whitebeard and his friends were injured one after another, fighting for their own lives, it was even more regrettable at this time. However, the more this time came, the less Marshal Sengoku dared to relax, standing by the execution table, his eyes still dignified. Before Whitebeard Twist Getter died, none of the older Marines dared to despise him a little bit. 627. Because we all know that even if Twist gets only one breath, he is also the strongest man in the world. It is possible that he will use the power to destroy the world to reverse the situation at any time. At this time, Sengoku's heart was more anxious to execute Huaquan Ace as soon as possible. Ready to be executed, Marshal Sengoku looked very solemn and decided to execute Ace immediately. Suddenly, the liaison soldier under the execution stage hurriedly rushed up to report to Sengoku. Marshal Sengoku, a warship passed through the gate of justice and came over. Sengoku frowned when he heard it. A warship is coming in. I don't remember what order I gave, and I haven't instructed any warship to be released. But Marshal Sengoku didn't agree at this time either. Advertisement. It's just a warship. But the soldier who contacted was panicked and hesitated. When is it all? What can I say? Marshal Sengoku couldn't help but screamed. On the warship are 4 emperors Bigmom. Kaido, Shichibukai Blackbeard Teach, and the heir of the Devil Bullet, the Red of Cha. On the bow is the White Lion Admiral. In the soldiers' mouths, the famous names were spoken out. The Crane's Vice Admiral, Garp, Momoshiki Paper Garden and others were shocked, and Marshal Sengoku was deeply shocked. What is going on? Could it be that the White Lion boy was kidnapped? The soldier's voice was much louder after Sengoku's harsh complaint, and all the surrounding Marines heard it, and even the footage on the live screen captured the sound and the image, which immediately caused an uproar. 4 emperors and the legendary pirates appeared on the warship, and Marine's 4th Admiral was also on the warship. What happened? Even Akainu, Aokiji, Kizaru 3 Da. It is also very confused with other Vice Admiral. 4th, if Admiral came, it wouldn't be so strange. It can be considered that he wants to come to support. The key is how to bring so many famous pirates, even New World's 4 emperors Kaido and Big Mom. Everyone was puzzled. Even the battle on the battlefield slowed down at this moment. Whitebeard Twisted Gate and a group of people also took the opportunity to get together. Father, they seem to be saying, Admiral White Lion is here with Kaido and Charlotte Linlin. Marco, whose ability was restricted by the Seastone, also leaned in with blood, and said to Whitebeard to twist. Now Whitebeard's pain has alleviated. Although he can bear it, he is still sweating profusely. Hearing Marco's words, I couldn't help but feel a little strange. It's normal for Marine to come, so why did you bring Kaido that B************ D and Linlin with you? Whitebeard twisted gate and took a deep breath, then glanced at the current battlefield. Advertisement. Marine now didn't take it directly because Kaido was close to Big Mom. Instead, the 3 Da and the others also gathered together, with a solemn expression. Everyone is not a fool. Whether it was brought by the White Lion or the White Lion was coerced, there were so many famous guys who came and continued to fight each other for life and death, I am afraid that it would be cheaper for others in the end. What is this White Lion doing? Whitebeard twisted Gad and looked out of the port. Marco, who had untied the mirror cuffs, also began to recover, watching solemnly. Diamond Joe started the treatment directly, and the Whitebeard Pirates group showed up with Kaido and others because of Xia Xing, and unexpectedly got a chance to breathe. And Sengoku, Sonda generals and others can't help but frown. They don't know what's going on with the White Lion Kid, and there are even Red Earl, Bullet, and even World Destroyer Brandy and other criminals of the 6th level. Didn't Xia Xing say it's okay? Marshal Sengoku glanced at Whitebeard with a pity, then at Ace. Didn't it mean that Impel Down was well guarded without any problems? How long did it take to hang up and he showed up at Marineford? At this time, it was not long before the soldiers reported. A warship had already appeared on the sea outside the ice in the inner bay, and it was approaching quickly. Above, a large group of big people stood on the deck. Kaido, the Beast, and the 3 plagues of Beasts pirates, flying 6 cells. There are also 4 stars in Bigmom and various ministers of the nations. Among them, the elite of the 2 large pirate regiments are more than 1,000, standing on top of the warships. Moreover, Bullet, Brandy, Valdo, Beryl, Crescent Hunter, Catherine, who committed the big crime in Impel Down. Even behind the warship, a huge figure followed closely along the ocean current. In front of the warship, the Admiral White Lion is lying lazily on it. This is a huge battleship that has disappeared for many years, San Juan, Evil Wolf. The Whitebeard pirates were originally not far from the inner bay, but they could not help but call out with a clear view. Not only were the Marines dumbfounded, but even the members of the Whitebeard pirates were surprised. The Marine Admiral White Lion brought this group of people to Marineford. What happened, or is this White Lion hijacked by the four emperors and others? Chapter 74. Resign from Marine Admiral position. Advertisement. But at this time, when the officials of the Whitebeard pirate group looked at them, they noticed the difference. The Impel Down criminals on the warship and the members of the Four Emperors pirate group had various injuries. Everyone is more or less traumatized, and all of them are somewhat depressed. Among them, Kaido's wounds are the most obvious. The huge wound in the lower abdomen of the shoulder obliquely went deep into the bone, and now there is still a trace of blood oozing out. With injuries of this magnitude, Marco, Diamond Joe's, Foil Beasta and others with a broken arm were shocked. It was because of Kaido's powerful body. If they were replaced, they would have been killed on the spot. In the Three Plagues, Jack, Smoke, Quinn, and the four generals Star Katakuri and others are even more gloomy, and they are a little untenable. Kakuzu still has blood in his mouth, and it is obvious that he has suffered extremely serious injuries and lost. Improved combat effectiveness. Heir of the Devil Bullet is also pale, with his head closed, bloodline all over his body. They are all injured. Everyone seems to have gone through a big battle. Are these the masterpieces of the 4th Admiral White Lion? The 7th Team Captain Rockweo couldn't help but said with some surprise. This can't be the 4th Admiral White Lion and arrested them all. Kaido, BIGMOM, 2-4 Emperor's pirate groups, are you kidding me? The 9th Team Captain Blenheim looked at Xia Xing leisurely on the bow, and couldn't believe it was the result, and said with some shock in the guess. And Whitebeard twisted Gates' eyes lightly, looking at the warship getting closer and closer to the ice surface of the inner bay. Teach is there too. Seeing Blackbeard teach, who was a little dodge, Whitebeard couldn't restrain his hands and stared firmly. The Marines in the square also saw this scene, speechless, not knowing what to think. What is happening? Momoshiki Gion couldn't help but worry a little bit. Whether it was made by White Lion or not, she has a strange hunch in her heart now when she comes to Marineford. The warship was moving and was about to approach the ice surface. Xia Xing opened his eyes and spoke at this time. Blackbeard, it's time to work. Xia Xing's words made everyone startled and showed a surprised expression. Gecko Moria and others, who are also Shichibukai, couldn't help but jump their eyelids. Advertisement. I saw a word from White Lion Admiral. Blackbeard Teach really stood up immediately. With a group of cadres, they jumped down and directly started bombarding the ice surface, working hard to clear the way for the warship in front. For a while, everyone was dumbfounded, even a little dumbfounded. Even Whitebeard Twisting Gate felt deeply surprised, and the arrogant Teach is now so obedient to the words of the White Lion Admiral. When the cadres saw Teach's performance, they felt that the absurd idea of the White Lion arresting them alone was very likely. The Marines were also shocked, even Garp couldn't help but open his mouth wide, and Ace on the execution stage was shocked. No one knows who Marshal D. Teach is better than the commanders of the Ace and Whitebeard pirates. This guy usually looks kind, but in fact he has always been very arrogant. Even before the live broadcast of the world, everyone could not help but be shocked by surprise. A warship came over, and it was the 4th Admiral White Lion. Looking at the voice dialogue on the screen, it seems that the White Lion Admiral escorted the prisoner of Impel Down over. Suddenly there was an unexpected uproar. Marshal Sengoku stood on the execution platform and watched the warship slowly approaching the port. He also understood what Xia Xing had just said. White Lion, what are you doing? Didn't you let you keep Impel Down? How did you bring all the prisoners here? Marshal Sengoku couldn't help but questioned at this time. Because Xia Xing's move is too much, here is still a battlefield with Whitebeard. Marshal Sengoku, isn't this already guarded? The prisoners didn't run away. They are all here, but the Impel Down is already a bit broken, so I simply escorted all of them to here for your disposal. This is also my last squad for Marine Admiral as Marine Admiral. Xia Xing faced Marshal Sengoku's questioning, and finally got up lazily and spoke bluntly. Marshal Sengoku was shocked, his expression looked a little ugly. The last post, don't you boy? For flowers oh. Advertisement. An incredible tone came out of Sengoku's mouth. When a large group of people on the Blackbeard, Kaido, Big Mom and other warships heard Xia Xing's words, they also reacted immediately and suddenly understood. It turns out that this is the purpose of the White Lion Master Xia Xing sending them to Marineford. It turns out that the White Lion wants to leave Marine. With that said, the White Lion will soon cease to be Marine, and there is no longer any reason to attack them. In this case, there is still a chance to escape this ghost place. The eyes of everyone on the warship flashed with surprise and joy. Yes, thanks to your care, Mr. Sengoku, from this moment on, I officially resign from the position of Marine Admiral, and I will be a free man from now on. Xia Xing stood straight at this time and looked at Sengoku gratefully. Although he always troubled himself with tasks, he didn't treat himself badly, and even treated himself very well. Sengoku was completely stunned, and when this sentence was said, the whole audience couldn't help but boil. Hundreds of thousands of Marine warriors exclaimed in an uproar that the White Lion Admiral actually resigned from Marine Admiral's position. The young man's temperament is really big, it's really scary. Kizaru Pelusolino said so, but he also admired Xia Xing a little. Marine Admiral is equivalent to standing on the front line of the world, and has a certain position in the world, and the treatment in the world government is also good. Even if the resignation was directly proposed, it is necessary to know whether the resignation unilaterally or on the occasion of the war will be held accountable. It may not be a bad thing to be able to leave like this. Aokiji sighed softly, with a trace of envy hidden under his eyes. With their current admiral status, being free is not so easy. On the contrary, it was Akainu Sakazuki's gloomy expression at this time, and his fists were firmly ed. Although he could not understand the laziness of Xia Xing, it did not affect his appreciation of Xia Xing. Whether it is strength or spare no effort to attack the pirate, he is a qualified marine recognized by him. All of this is because of those celestial dragons who are high above the sky and can only be arrogant. 0. Chapter 75. The world is shaking, all members of the four emperors are hijacked. Advertisement. In Marine, not only Admiral, but also Sengoku and Garp, as well as Crane can't help but feel sorry, with different looks. Momosuke Gion even bit her lip, and she didn't expect that the White Lion escorted such a big battle to come over, actually to resign from the position of Admiral. Unlike Marine, everyone else started to think differently. Doflamingo even has bright eyes at this time. Once the White Lion Xia Xing leaves Marine, he will be a free man. Can anyone win him over? If you can cooperate with such a powerful fighting force, the family will not be prosperous. Maybe you can also have the opportunity to become the next Sea Emperor. The pirate Empress Boa Hancock had a very surprised look. Last time, because the White Lion Admiral taught celestial dragons, he took a look at this unique admiral. Now, 627, is to leave Marine directly. Hancock couldn't help but look at Xia Xing more at this time. Xia Xing, stop messing around. Marshal Sengoku was a little impatient at this time, and even wanted to close the world's live broadcast first. As a marshal, how can I not know what Xia Xing will face if he resigns from the position of admiral? Your responsibilities have been completed. I will apply for you to restore power. At the same time, I will ask the Ministry of Science to upgrade all the game consoles and TV bugs you want. Sengoku didn't forget to give Xia Xing a look, which was unclear. Xia Xing still sighed and shook her head. What Mr. Sengoku said really moved him, but it was a pity. To be a Marine Admiral, you have to bow your head to celestial dragons. No matter how good you are, I don't want to do this job anymore. As soon as these words were said, Sengoku's complexion suddenly became ugly. This place is now in the eyes of the world, and celestial dragons and 5 elders will also know. Garp nodded in appreciation for Xia Xing's words. You have already taken action against celestial dragons. Once you leave the position of admiral, do you know what kind of situation you will face? It is too late to look back now. Marshal Sengoku was even more at stake at this time, and even thought that Xia Xing turned his head, even if he could get out of his face, he would make 5 elders no longer care. It doesn't matter, Mr. Sengoku, thank you so much. If 5 elders wants to be wanted, I just want to. Advertisement. Xia Xing sincerely expressed his gratitude to Sengoku. He is sincere for his own good, and he doesn't care about the other selves. While talking, the warship was also completely close to the inner bay port at this time, but the warship could not be approached because of the rise of the steel wall. The huge steel wall blocked the obstacle, and Xia Xing directly armed conquerors at this time. There was a loud bang. Xia Xing's haki directly hit the huge steel wall, causing the steel to dent directly. It was lifted off by the sound. With this hand, the commanders of the Whitebeard pirate group were stunned, exclaiming. What's going on? This is a steel wall that the old man didn't even break with a punch. Foil Beasta and others couldn't help but said in shock. Captain Rock's armed with Conqueror's haki. Even Baihu Twisting Gate couldn't help but wince his eyes, and he recognized this familiar haki stunt at a glance, and he couldn't help being shocked. The steel wall that I punched before is right next to it, and the fist marks on it are still on it. And the White Lion's Conqueror's haki broke this kind of wall directly. At the same time, it was precisely because Xia Xing broke the iron wall that everyone could see all the people on the warship and their injuries. Immediately aroused a huge response from Marineford live and in front of the live broadcast, an uproar. Sabayati Archipelago, Pluton Rayleigh, who was sitting on the roof drinking wine and watching the live broadcast, stopped immediately. The eyes looking at the screen were a little confused. This is Kaido, Linlin Bullet, Letterfield. Rayleigh said in a daze, what's the situation? They are all acquaintances from the old age, all of them were arrested by the boy Xia Xing, the White Lion. And each of the supernovae was particularly frightened, it was a bit unbelievable. Advertisement. 4 emperors, and even those legendary figures who have disappeared for many years. Even the arrogant Captain Kid couldn't help swallowing his throat, his eyes trembled. Look at Kaido's injuries that are enough to kill ordinary people directly, as well as the 3 plagues, 4 generals and others who lose their combat effectiveness, and their pale faces are unsteady. Unexpectedly, all were planted under the hands of the White Lion. At a glance, Jinsei saw that these people were all famous guys. The new world 4 emperors is definitely the power to stand at the top of the world. What kind of monster is this White Lion? Did he solve it all by himself? The other supernovae are even more fortunate that the White Lions did not make a shot at the time, otherwise their fate would be even worse. And the last thing I was afraid of was Apu. It was so miserable to see his boss Kaido almost being cut in half. At that time, if the White Lion wanted to kill him, it would be no more difficult than killing a chicken. And at the place closest to the screen, the news reporter Morgans was even more excited when he saw such an explosive event. Quickly took out the notebook and began to write. This is an event that is comparable to the Marineford War. Unfortunately, I don't know what happened to Impel Down. How did the White Lion subdue the 2 emperors and the criminals of the old age? While writing, Morgans murmured to himself, planning to investigate thoroughly after it was over. As for the scene, Shichibukai, Akainu, Aokiji, Kizaru, Marshal Sengoku, Garp and others also fully saw the group of people on the boat and were deeply shocked. Kaido, even read Earl Letterfield, Bullet, none of these guys are normal, and every 0.0 of them have injuries on their bodies. Even BIGMOM can't see any injuries, but it's exhausted and tired. The powerful cadres such as the 3 plagues and the 4 generals directly lost their combat effectiveness, with a pale and miserable expression on their faces. The White Lion really suppressed them all alone. Marshal Sengoku watched the injured people stay in the boat, and felt that Xia Xing's departure from Marine was an extremely serious loss. How powerful this is, it is simply pervert to the point of exaggeration. Rocks didn't achieve such a record, right? These are the 2 emperors, plus all the members of the 2 large pirate groups, and Lonely Red, the guy who was shoulder to shoulder with Whitebeard, Roger, Bullet, Impel Down, these fierce criminals who erased their traces in the world.